This is a conversation with Demetrius Harmon, a Viner, YouTuber, mental health advocate, and all around fantastic person. This was an amazing conversation. I hadn't talked to Mish in a while, and we really got into his whole story. Growing up in Detroit, gaining 4 million followers on Vine in high school, moving to LA, leaving LA, his You Matter clothing brand, therapy, and everything in between. We also referenced the basketball player Tony Snell several times. Here's Demetrius Harmon.
Yeah, I can't see anything.
I got LASIK. I got LASIK, and Yara and her mom made fun of me because I got LASIK with the Groupon. Like I was like, yo, I'm sorry. Like this is an amazing deal. Like I was like thinking about it, but I was like, I don't think that like Groupon's gonna let like some sort of unlicensed doctor on their platform. I'm gonna roll the dice with these LASIK. I'm gonna let somebody put a laser into my eye at a massive discount.
Yeah, I'm not taking that risk. I can't do it. I understand. Well, I get it.
Well, you're supposed to wait until you're 25, which I didn't realize you were 24, at least according to Google. Which you've accomplished so much in a very short amount of time.
According to Google, it's hilarious.
Yeah, well, I mean, you never know. You Google people's net worth, and it's like, okay, I know this dude's worth more than that, or I know this dude's worth less than that.
Yeah, they be saying, I think, Google, I'm worth like 500 million or something like that. Something nuts. And it's been like that since I was like 14. I'm like, all right, well.
Okay, I want to get into the way I think about this podcast is like there's gonna be somebody out there right now who's like, yo, like maybe they came across your page on Vine or Instagram or something. Like, yo, I want to do what Mish does. That's dope. Like what he does is dope. Like I want to do what he does, and so I want you to like kind of walk us through like how you got there, and then that's like the first half sort of. And then we could just talk about whatever after, like life, dating, funny stories. But yeah, like I thought those were personality glasses for a second. I was about to be like, oh, like but those are real glasses.
I actually have a pet peeve where people like wear glasses and they don't like actually need them. Because I've been wearing glasses since I was like 3rd grade.
See, I've been wearing glasses for a long time. So I remember I think it came about because I was like really bad at basketball. Like I couldn't shoot, and I think the dude of the YMCA was like, yo, I think he was making fun of me, like, yo, you can't see. And I was like, nah, you really can't see. Like it was like really. But then the LASIK thing happened because like I went on a trip once. I think like I was in Boston or something. Like I had 2 pairs of glasses. I had like maybe one of them had maybe broke, and then like I had forgot my contacts. Like first of all, at one point I was wearing the ones you wear for 2 weeks. Now I switched to the dailies, and the dailies, like I was like, oh wow, like this is amazing. Like this, my face, like this doesn't. I had to do the 2 weeks was just like my eyes were just like blood red. Like I can't even imagine putting something in your eyes for 2 weeks. Now that I like think about it, that's 14 calendar days. That's like 2 NFL games. That's a lot. Like 2 weeks is a lot.
I get it. I'm understanding why it's reasonable. But when I tried to go to dailies, because I didn't learn how to take my contacts out by like sliding them over to the corner and grabbing them. I literally just go in my eye and like grab them. But like weekly, and I think monthly. They
make monthlies.
I either have 2 weeks or monthlies. I think I have 2 weeks though. Yeah. I haven't updated my contacts in like a year though. I've been freeballing with it.
Okay, free ball. I feel like they lie to you because I feel like they used to say that like if you wear them like a lot, like your eyesight will get better, but that never happened. Like I stayed at -3. I stayed at -3, -2.75.
What am I?
Always.
I think I'm a -4.25.
Okay, because see, okay, I respect that because sometimes I meet somebody who's like a -1.25. I'm like, well, you can't really claim that you can't see, like it's like I'm banging blindness, and it's like, yo, you're over here false claiming blindness, like you're a -1.25.
Like if I don't have my glasses on right now, like underneath our photos where it say our names,
yeah,
I can't read neither one of our names.
Yeah. By the way, see, I didn't get them to sponsor me at some point. Zencaster, just amazing app. Better than Riverside, but for podcasting. But yeah, like dog, when I got LASIK, I was just driving around just reading stuff. Like I was just like be driving down the street in Beverly Hills, like I'll be like Robertson. Like I felt like I say this as a joke, but I really mean it. The best money I've ever spent in my life was on LASIK. Like I've spent money on flights. I spent money on like girls, like as far as like entertaining, dating, whatever. I spent money on shoes. Like LASIK is the best money I ever spent in my life. Like although I did something called PRK, which is like, so if you do LASIK, it's like you can see right away. This thing called PRK, it's like the same thing, but it's a little bit different. And like
it like slowly gets better.
Yeah. Basically, like, so I think LASIK, they like cut a hole in your, like, they like shave off. It's something has something to do with PRK. They like remove a whole layer of something versus LASIK.
That
They just
sounds
cut it. Yeah. First of all, I remember thinking that like my biggest fear with LASIK was that like if they're like in LA, it was like, what if there's an earthquake during it? Like I'm just screwed. Like it's such a stupid fear. But I was like, you know, but then I was like, but yeah, PRK, like it takes like a week for you to actually be able to see, and they give you like these dark, like these like kind of Ray, I'm about to say Ray Allen, Ray Charles glasses, and you can't
Oh,
like
so you
to
can't see and
recover.
like none of the light getting to you.
Yeah, the light. Yeah, exactly. And like I remember it took me like a week, and I remember being like, "Yo, what if I just like what if Yara and her mom?" Well, I don't know if they knew I got the group on them, but I was like, what if it just didn't take? Like, what if I just got janky LASIK? Like, what if I just got like bootleg LASIK? Like, but when it took, I was just reading everything. I was just like, oh my, like even now, like it's been like they say it kind of starts to fade after 5 years, and like last summer, like it felt like the fade kind of came slowly and all at once, and so it did like I did get that fade, but like I like I still can see so much better than before. And I'm over here shilling LASIK, but let's so you're like you grew up in Detroit, you blew up on Vine. Vine is like I feel like Vine was TikTok before TikTok because my first like
Mine was
crazy
everything before everything.
that's real. That's gonna when Elon brings it back, he's gonna use that catchphrase. You're gonna get like a
I
cool
don't even.
billion.
The thing is, like, I don't even like. I want to say, like, in the last year of Vine, I didn't even really make Vines anymore. I was already like making Twitter videos,
Yeah,
but
you and I
that
think
was
Dope
because, like,
Island.
yeah, that's my best friend since like 8th grade.
Oh wow.
So we
But
start
yeah,
making skits because, like, we may start making skits 8th grade summer going into high school, and Vine came out in 9th grade. Like as soon as we got to high school, Vine came out. So we was making like YouTube videos, like little like stupid vlogs, like us walking to the gas station and saying like stupid jokes and clipping it together and on like
well,
iMovie and stuff like that.
I feel like you're being yourself in those because I've seen those vlogs and they're hilarious, and I feel like you're being yourself because like just talking to you now, you're like when I was talking about I can't remember what I was talking about, but you're like you're being reasonable. You're like it felt like a skit. Like you're like no, you're like no, I don't dis like you're being reasonable, but
No, like
it felt
when,
like one of
like
y'all skits.
the skits me and Angelo like made because that happened like a year. Like I want to say me and Angelo started making skits together first on YouTube, and then Vine came out. Me and Angelo never went to school together ever again after 8th grade. We met at 8th grade, and the reason we became very close is because like one because of school, but then like his dad lived up the street from my parents' house, but he only went to his dad's house on the weekends.
Uh,
So once
this sounds like one
eighth
of those
grade,
like Disney Channel movies. Like he only
yeah,
went to
that's
his dad's
basically
house
what
on
it
the
was.
weekends. Like
That's basically what it was, bro. Because like I didn't have any friends in my neighborhood because my school wasn't like a neighborhood or like district school. Like I
was
already
it
had been going
magnet?
there.
Was it a
Huh?
magnet? It was like a was it a magnet school? Or was it like a smart
It
kid
was a
school? Or was it
charter
like a
school.
bad kid school? Oh, okay,
No, it
charter.
was just a
Okay.
charter school, so it wasn't like public. Like it wasn't any like no bus by like in my like when I went to high school, the bus like one block up took me to high school, and I've never experienced that ever because I wasn't supposed to stay at that school for as long. Is that a gallon of water?
Oh, I'm so sensitive about this. So I've been
No,
working
is
out a
it?
lot.
I have one of those too.
Yes, it's like a gigantic water. It keeps it cold.
But is it
It
a
keeps it
gallon?
cold. I think it is. I'm not a. I have to go
Yeah, I
on
got the
Amazon and
gallon
check.
joint. Yeah,
I don't know
I
if it's a
love a good
gallon.
hydro flask.
Yeah, well, so it's so big because it keeps it cold. But I always feel so sensitive. Like it's like oh, it's like the size of my head. I'm like it's my gigantic water bottle. Like I just
No,
like
yeah, 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 you gotta just embrace it. I was just happy I had somebody else that cared like me because I'd be having them. I'd be trying to convince my friends like the hydro flasks are really important. I just put the water in there. I might forget about it, put some ice in it early, and at
it
the end of the
stays
day, it's
cold.
still cold.
It stays cold. It's crazy. It's crazy that it stays cold. Well, I don't appreciate because I was sensitive. I thought you were about to start, capping like, oh, look at him with his big old, big old water, but you dehydrated. Like I thought you were about to start going in on me. I was
I'm
like,
pretty. If anytime I point something out, it's probably because I'm being appreciative of it. Like I'm very like strange about the things that I enjoy. Like I have like one of these because I'm not good at like
it's like
doing things.
medicine.
Yeah, like like
Yeah,
the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday tab. Like just put
yeah,
like
yeah.
feel
I
good.
feel you.
Like, I'm not good
Reminders.
at
Yeah.
consistency and stuff. So like anything that makes being consistent,
Well,
you like if I'm supposed to drink a gallon of water and there's a container that's a gallon, I'd rather just put a gallon of water in there and just keep that with me. So once it's gone, I know I drink a gallon.
Well, you consistently made videos, right? You consistently made Vine videos, YouTube videos, so you're good at consistency a little bit.
But
Oh, it's
see
a
that
half
that
gallon, by the way. It's a half gallon.
yeah,
So,
I suppose I'm not even gonna try to discredit you there because that's I yeah I'm fickle with what I decide to be consistent with.
oh, that's like some Confucius level. Like, I like that. I'm sticking with where I decide to be consistent with, aren't we all? No, so I mean, so how'd you like? First of all, what was your childhood like? Because I always feel like I get confused about my childhood sometimes. So I'm like, so I lived in Nigeria till I was 6. Now I moved to Houston, but I was one of those people who like I'm never gonna claim like I grew up in the hood, like in the trenches on some like, I know y'all have like Joy Road or whatever. Like I'm not gonna feel like I was out like I was in the but I was around it. Like I was never in it, but I was around it. Like my house had got shot when I was in 6th grade. I got shot on some dry like a friend of mine had got shot, and me and my friend were at his house. He's like, I know who shot me, whoop de whoop. So we're there just, being, I'm 16, that he's probably 17, he passing the gun around, just talking about, I know who shot me. And then he's about to put it away. He started spinning it like a Western. And I was like, bro, make sure it's on safety. He was like, it is. And he pointed at me and shot it, and it wasn't. And it really, I mean, it made it more so grazed me. I don't know if you could barely see it, but like, but I was around, I've been around, but like, I'm never going to claim like, cause I never was in a situation where like, oh, I couldn't, I didn't have food to eat, or I didn't, I couldn't get clothes, or, I like stuff like that. So I don't ever want to like, I feel like it's like stolen valor if you're like, oh, I was in the trenches. Cause it reminds me when rappers are like, yo, like I ain't never had shit. And then their mom is like, bro, like, what? Wait, I raised you, Jeremiah, like you, you had plenty, you know?
Yeah, like when they be like, my teacher said I wasn't gonna be shit.
Yeah. It's like, wait, bro, I just said to stop acting up in class. Like, I never like. There's no
uh,
like. What's the situation where a teacher would even say like,
yeah, that's
Jason,
never
you're
happened.
never gonna be shit. Like just by the way, class, Jason's never gonna be shit. So yeah, what was your childhood?
I'm the youngest of four out of my mom and from my mother's side. I'm the youngest of four. I have three older brothers. I have a younger brother from my dad's current marriage. But growing up, I was born on Joy and Burr Road. I want to say we moved when I was like in second or third grade.
So what kind of
Uh,
area is that? Because I know I hear the Joy Road is the hood. So what kind of area
oh, it is.
is
Yeah, most
okay?
definitely. Yeah, most definitely. Like I want to say like even now, like I know it was better then, just based off the fact of that time frame. You know what I mean? Like everybody that lived there, it was like community. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't the best neighborhood, but because of the people that filled those houses, like we looked out for each other. Like, it's impossible for shit to not happen. But I knew my neighbors. Like my dad knew the neighbor, and I knew their children, and we would play football and they come over in the backyard. Like I have vivid memories of those things. Like I have, like my cousins lived across the street. My other cousins lived maybe a block away. Like it was very community like, but it is in the hood. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
if
yeah.
I did a photo book, and we drove up there, and we just took pictures of like the old house. Like all the houses next to it are abandoned. You know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
house, I think one or two people got murdered in it.
Wow.
You know what I
It's
mean? Like
also
that's the area.
yeah.
But I want to say we moved to Dearborn when I was in third or second grade, and Dearborn is the suburbs. Like
Is that
Dearborn
a
is
university town? I feel like is there a university close there? Or no, that's
no,
one of my
that's Ann Arbor.
okay. Oh yeah, yeah. One of my college roommates is from probably one of the dopest, smartest dudes I know is from East Lansing,
Yeah, East
Michigan.
Lansing is MSU, is Michigan
Yeah, and
State.
so all right, so it's funny how rappers kind of because I know like I feel like you've linked with like like I think Big Sean and like Detroit, like because you're like a Detroit, like you really rep Detroit.
Yeah,
And I feel like
everybody from Detroit love Detroit because we got
yeah,
a
well,
pride. You know what I mean?
and it's
To make it
cold.
out of Detroit is difficult, especially like our economy is automobiles factory. So to make it out as a creative, it's like, oh, you really like one of them ones.
Yeah, you really got them 7-second videos going just busting. Well, is Vine 7 seconds? I don't even remember. Is it
It
six?
was
I
six
don't remember.
point five seconds.
They split the difference. Yeah,
Like
it's
we
funny how
used to like
rappers.
really be shaving off like every little bit of like the parts of the skit to make it the perfect amount so that you because we found like at first when mine started you had to record everything on the app, and then it was apps where you could pay like $1.99 and then upload to that app and then it upload to Vine. Then Vine started letting you do that themselves. And once that happened, you would like say if you made a Vine and you put it in Premiere, you would see like, oh, this whole video is 6.5 seconds.
Man,
And once that happened, we knew.
it's so funny. It reminds me of Mr. Beast. I don't know if you know, like Mr. Beast, the big YouTuber. Like
Yeah,
he really studied the science. I feel like people just think like a lot of. I mean, I'm sure some influencers do just kind of luck into like they go viral and it just keeps working. But I think people forget like a lot of folks being like in the lab. Like okay, like we need to like I'm sure y'all are like writing like coming up with ideas for sketches and like we gotta shave off 0.2 seconds here. We gotta shave off a tenth of a second. Like it's like work. Like being like I've seen people really like I feel like you see people or influencers who just kind of went crazy viral, like Rebecca Black when she had that Friday song, you just kind of go crazy viral off of one thing. But I've seen a
yeah,
lot of people more commonly like it's like a slow grind of like okay, it's almost like a rapper. Like you're handing out mixtapes. One day you're handing out mixtapes at the mall, and like slowly building up your audience. It seems like people don't realize that sometimes it's a lot of work. Also, the
yeah.
only reason
Because
I
like,
know what Joy Road is because of T Grizzly. By the way, that's why I was thinking about the rap. I'm like
oh no,
he's
of
like,
course, everybody my favorite part too is when that song went viral. Just because like even like because T Grizzly used to be in a group called All Stars Ball Hard, so like just stuff like that, like knowing that as a kid from Detroit, seeing T Grizzly get out of jail, drop that song. I'm in LA on set and they play that song and I'm in the middle of the dance doing it,
what,
knowing
what
I'm
were you
from
on?
the borough.
What were you
You know
on
what I
set
mean?
for? What were you on set for?
The homie was doing like a short music, like a short film for his music video. So he had me acting as a as a crazed drug dealer.
You don't give off crazed drug dealer vibes,
Yeah, I was
bro.
like, I don't think this is gonna work, but I got you. I can do it. I for sure cut up though. Like it was like I think the girl came back with like less money than she was supposed to come back with. And I like started like snapping on her and shit. But
I thought you meant like for the set, like for the show. I thought you meant like the actual like whoever somebody was paying
oh
you
no no
for it.
no. no.
Like
but
you turned up.
yeah, I would say like for me, like I think when Vine ended, I have 4 million followers. But you gotta think I was on Vine since ninth grade, and Vine ended when I was 18. Like
Oh wow.
Vine ended after I graduated.
So I mean that's like 1 million followers per year that you're gaining basically.
I
But
gained I gained 3 million followers senior year.
wait, so you were just like going to school just normally, but you were like like did students treat you like yo that's Meech, like like
It
he
was
like
that's how I knew when it was like it would because like have other Vine homies like Nick Frazier. He the one that made like Why You Always Lying, and I remember
oh
seeing
yeah
like
yeah.
his skits and before like I remember seeing his vines. Like his vines are everything he's made has always been like his personality. That's how he acts, that's how he talks. You feel me? Like just a normal New York dude. He made that, and I remember all of us rewinding. We like this is gonna go crazy, but it went so viral where he became that guy, and I hated that for him. You know what I mean? Because it was like, no, he really been putting in work. Like if you go back, you can see he really has been like he has. If y'all give him a chance to not be a jingle guy or like a parody guy, like he really is funny as fuck.
Yeah, it is weird how you can get pigeonholed in certain things. Like I feel like I know some child actors, and it's like it's weird because you want to be proud of what you've done, but then like you know some child actors like they like repost, they'll stay reposting like their role when they were like 8 years old, and it's kind of like oh you gotta let go, Like, but then I guess maybe people won't let them outgrow it. So I mean it's weird. Like you should be proud of what you've done if that's the most successful thing you've done, but it's like weird where it's like this thing that you did when you were like 9 years old is still like your highlight. It's like we
Yeah,
don't let people outgrow stuff sometimes.
yeah, I think that's the biggest thing too. Is like people like me and Angelo stopped making skits a minute ago. Like when we make skits now, it's just because that's how we talk to each other. Like you said, like you could see that's how we talk. Like them skits, any skit we done made, like Adam and Eve or like Witch's Trial, like any of those videos, it take us like 10 minutes to film it. Like we
Did y'all
literally
have
just
an Isaac? I
hold the
think I had an
camera.
Isaac one. Did y'all have an Isaac
Yeah,
one? Or
we
was it
did.
okay, I was saying I feel like I remember an Isaac one where it's like the
We
sacrifice.
probably did like 5 biblical like skits,
Yeah,
but it's always just
those are
us
some of my
talking to each other.
favorites.
Huh?
Yeah, I said those are some of my favorites. It's like so deadpan.
That's how we communicate our ideas. You know what I mean? So we'll be like, all right, like Adam and Eve, this is the story, and then we just like I literally will not know what he's gonna say. If he's starting the video off, I won't know what he's gonna say, and then he'll finish the whole part into a certain point of when he needs my response, or we're switching to a character that's like not 1 and 2 and it's 3 is like God is the new character. We'll stop until like that part, like we start laughing, and then he'll throw me the phone. I respond to the things he said, and if we think of something new, like boom, boom, but we'll probably have like 5 clips that are 2 minutes long, and then we'll put he edits. Enzo's the genius behind editing because Enzo like edits it very like chaotically. You know what I mean? Where
Yeah,
you feel
the
like it's a
cuts are
lot
funny.
going on.
The cuts are very funny. I mean, it's so interesting. So like, so one of my first like crazy LA experiences was I went to like Bieber's 22nd birthday, and it was like there were all these people there who had like who I never heard of in my life. I wouldn't know them from Adam. I wouldn't if I bumped into them. They had like 4 million followers, 8 million followers, 12 million followers, and and like real followers. So we're like they would have like 4 million followers and like 200,000, 300,000 likes, and they were all Viners. It was like Hayes Greer and Nash Greer. I want to say like Cameron Dallas, like that whole era. And so it's weird how like these communities can like have. It's almost like you see with TikTok now with like Charlie D'Amelio. I mean, people are kind of breaking out of TikTok too, but like Charlie D'Amelio, I'm a butcher her last name, but like those sisters, those Italian sisters, but like
I don't
yeah,
even know
it's
who
like
you're talking about.
they're these like big, they're like these gigantic TikTokers, who like Charlie, and she has a sister named she has like a sister. What's her sister? They're like basically like they're Dixie. I think Dixie D'Amelio. I'm
I'm
butchering it,
really
but like
bad at knowing creators because I always am in like when I was on Vine, I had 4 million. I was like in Black Vine, participating in like roast sessions with like people who got 100 followers. Like I was always in a small community. Like I like all the people I know that are creators. I know them personally. Like I
right.
like even my friends. Like I like King Beta or like Caleb City or like RDC. Like it's a lot. I've seen a lot of their skits, but it's a lot of their skits I don't see because like when I want to talk to them, I just try to talk to them as like people. You
That
know what
makes
I mean?
sense.
And then I also try not to look at too many creators because I don't be wanting to like by mistake get inspired by their content and that start rubbing off on mine.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, as a writer, I like it's weird. It's not like I don't want to read other people or like watch other stuff, but it's like you want to maintain your own voice. Like it's easy to
Yeah,
accidentally almost like just sort of like jack somebody almost. But yeah, I mean, I think
yeah.
like
They don't be intentional, and then now everybody in your comments like, "Bro, you stole this." I think I want to say the person that made me get on TikTok was I don't know how to say his last name, but Tony Statovici, and
I
like
have to
I
look
met
him
him
up.
later. You know what I mean? Like, but you said what?
I have to look him up.
He's the one that made the better pizza, better money, my clothes better, like the Papa John's
I'm gonna peep that. I'm gonna
TikTok.
peep that. So
But he's like
okay, so
funny. Like if I watch anybody, it's typically like it's certain workout creators that I like. Like I like their. I can just appreciate like how they approach their audience. It's certain it's like anything I watch is usually like I'm connected to the person because of like their personality, how they approach their audience versus like if they're funny or like if like though like if it's like viral dances and like those type of things.
yeah, it's where I missed Vine. Like I just like like it's like if you don't do drugs by high school, if you don't join a gang by high school, you just kind of miss it. Like it's just like, all right, I guess I'm not doing drugs. Like I guess I'm not being on Vine. But yeah, I just remember when I left that party, and I was like, wow, like who? I was like, who are these people? And it's like, oh, they're Viners. And I feel like LA kind of produces like a new crop of like like you have like you have like Vine stars, and then like you kind of like the YouTubers, like the Jake Paul, Logan Paul like era, and then you kind of had like the YouTubers that came after them, like that dude who had the hype house, or not well, just like YouTubers that came after them, and then the Vlog Squad, David Dobrik, like that
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
era.
yeah.
And then you have like I feel like technology moves so fast. I feel like LA just like creates famous people because they just need them, and like it just like if every famous person like disappears tomorrow, LA would just create a new one. It'll be like James Stewart. That's actually a real person. Jackson uh Baxter, he's famous now. Like I feel like it just creates them. Like and these platforms kind of like create. Like, you had the Vine stars, and you had the YouTubers, and you had like the second wave of YouTubers, and you had the TikTokers, and it's like what's next? Like it's just but how like because you obviously got pretty big off of Vine. Like when did you start realizing like I'm like this is like kind of getting big, like bigger than you would have expected it?
Uh,
I
I
mean, 4 million
don't.
people. That's like a whole. That's like a city. That's like a small. That's like a large city actually.
Yeah, but I think like I have like that like bad complex of like comparison. Like I don't think it kicked in for me for a minute until like probably like when Vine was deleted and like we was on Twitter like making those skits. Like when I was living with Angela, like probably didn't kick in until I was like 19, 20. Cause like
Right.
if I had 4 million on Vine, I'm looking like, man, I want to be like King Batch or them. You know what I mean? Like I
Oh
want to
yeah, I
have
forgot.
20 million.
Yeah, that era of like people like, and when Instagram started doing videos, like just how like, it's crazy how people like, because at first Instagram had like 15-second videos, then it had like 30, then 60, and then it had like the panels, right? Like where you could make you
Yeah,
could tell a whole story,
the long
over the
form.
course. Yeah, like people like it's so crazy how creative. I forgot like that King Bash, like people who were just kind of making doing that. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that whole comparison thing is definitely like, like they say comparison is a thief of joy. So, I mean, have you always been like a performer? Like, I feel like, you talk about to actors and they're like, oh, I was always performing. But then it's like, well, I mean, everyone's grandma is like, oh, come out here and sing your little song, like, so it's like, how much of that is really like on the one hand, like usually if you're a creative, there usually is some sort of little nugget in your past where it's like, oh yeah, he used to always like he did used to always kind of be watching, we used to watch cartoons, he used to watch Comedy Central, but then there's also an element of like when people are like, oh, I used to always perform. It's like, yeah, but like everybody, like everybody's mama is like, oh, watch the little dance that my little son does. It's not like anything special. But like, what was that for you? Like, were you always kind of performing in one way or another?
I always was like writing. Like I used to want to be an author because I used to read a lot. Like I always been like an enjoyer of the arts.
What were you
And
reading? I used to read a lot growing up. What were you reading?
my favorite books were like mystery books, and then my brothers were watching Naruto one day, and I got like very hip to manga. So I used to just
Okay.
go to like my like the gift for me doing well in school or like if I ain't going in trouble or nothing was like taking me to Borders to buy me more books.
Wow.
Like when
That's
I was
very
in like
rare.
third grade, I like taught myself Photoshop. Like I was like I wasn't the kid that I was very like to myself. Like when I was around other people, like, I was with my family. I had personality and stuff. Like I always have had personality. Um, but I think I've always been kind of like shy or socially anxious. Like I even am socially anxious now. Like even you see like I fiddle with my hands stuff like that. Uh, but yeah, I don't say I wouldn't say I ever thought I would be like the person in front of it. You know what I mean? I always believed that like my work was good enough, but it was before Vine or before YouTube, it was never me. Like it was never me writing these stories about myself and I'm trying to write a script so I can get on as an actor. It was like I'm writing these stories because the only way I see the world is by like taking I'll see a random person on the street and make up a whole life for them. You know what I'm saying? Or like my friends will say one thing and I'll make up a whole scenario. And then that's how the skits happen. Cause it was like, man, like I wonder how this went, like how this happened. You know what I mean? Like I wonder how like what happened when it was the first person to milk a cow. You know what I mean? Like things like that.
Well, yeah, your
And so like
skits are
that's
very
that.
creative. They're so creative, and I feel like sometimes, like, damn, like you see, whenever I see somebody who's really, really funny, but they're not a TV writer, I feel like, damn, I'm like, I'm scared. It's like you'll see somebody who has like on Twitter, it happens all the time, where you see somebody have like the funniest tweet, and they work at a call center, like in Ohio, like they don't have anything to do with entertainment, they don't have anything to do with Hollywood, they don't have any. I mean, and not like I'm not done. Like obviously anyone could be funny, but sometimes you're just like, yo, like how's it that I'm over here sitting here getting paid for this, trying to think about just funny stuff, and there's just some dude who just is on their lunch break at like the factory, or at like the call center, and they just thought of something that's like so funny. And I feel like, obviously like you're in entertainment too, but like watching your skits sometimes I'm like, wow, like that's just like that's high level. This is high level joking. This is not like Ricky
Thanks,
joking.
man.
This is
Thanks.
like some this is elite joking. It reminds me of sometimes like I'll be in a writer's room, like most like comedy writers are like, pretty evenly funny. Like every room has like one. I mean, when I was on Blackish, when I was on The Simpsons, like at Blackish, there's this dude Vijay Patel, and like he was just like really like he would just think of stuff that you're just like, how did you think of that? Like how did you think of that joke that quick? What's wrong with you? Like how? And then like this dude Joel Cohen on The Simpsons, just like the same thing where he would just have these like jokes where you're just like, oh, like this is you're just different. Like you're gifted. But yeah, I feel like like you're like that's why I was like, yeah, I was like, I'm pretty sure I remember and the Isaac sacrificing the son, all the biblical ones, and it's like just even y'all's facial expressions are just like so so like so hilarious. But okay, so like how did you like was Vine just like the app that everyone had, or like how'd you get into Vine? Were you just like just one day like okay, because you never started it being like yo I'm gonna have 4 million followers. Or was it just like oh this is just the app that everyone in my school has?
It was. Yeah, I give everything about me being a creator to Angelo. Like I'll give him the credit for all of that. Like he's the one that, like, oddly enough, like when we're to ourselves, I would say, well, when we're around people, Angelo appears more shy than I do because I get so anxious that like I think people don't like me that I over like do. And Angelo gets anxious that like people may not like him that he like closes in. And so when Angelo's like to himself, he's like always looking at things. And Angelo is like likes being around people. Like he likes being around people he's comfortable with. I do as well. But I like taking I like my solitude a lot.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
I feel
Angelo
that.
always the one finding new music. Angelo's always the one like introducing me to like a lot of new cooler people. And so Angelo just like, yeah, like download Vines, they doing like slap cams. Like that's all Vine was known for a good minute. It was like slap cams. And so we
Yeah, I
just I
remember that.
first Vine was like a slap cam, you know what I mean? And like pranks and stuff like that. It had no intention. I was on YouTube, of course, at the time, but like I didn't think of making it any further with that. And
Yeah,
then I want to say King Batchingham is the reason why people started seeing Vine as an app where it was creator and audience versus we're all just making something. And then
right.
like maybe like 6 months after Vine came out, like Instagram was like, yeah, we got videos too now. And everybody from Vine was like, all right, fuck, we're going back to Instagram. We got Instagram. We have Instagram already. I
Oh
already
yeah,
got
that I guess
my
it's like I feel like the way we look back at it is like, yo, why did Twitter shut down Vine? But I guess low key Vine, they didn't just do it for no reason. I guess people did kind of leave and start going to Instagram. Actually, now today there's TikTok.
them shutting down Vine is the best thing that ever happened to Vine.
Oh yeah, 'cause people miss it now, right?
Yeah, it's solely nostalgia. No, I was on Vine in high school. You know what I mean? I was on Vine after that, like after I graduated, and people are like, man, you still no, that's Viner. Nah. You know what I mean? Like that was the vibes. You know what I mean? Like, and then once Vine got
They
deleted,
like
it's like,
little
man,
broed
no.
you.
You said what?
They like little broed you.
Yeah,
That's
that was the
wild.
vibe. Was like, oh, that's what they still doing. Like y'all still on that tired app. But once it got deleted, everybody, they kind of clung to it, and then now it's just that longing for it because you're kind of remembering it way better than it was. Not that Vine wasn't a great app, but you didn't really love Vine. You said you did.
Wow. Well,
It's
I
like when
mean,
someone passes. That's basically all that happened. Vine died, and everyone was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I was
I
just
love
with Vine the
Vine.
other day."
Yeah, it's like the people who are like it reminds me of like it reminds oh my goodness. It reminds me of people who are like, yo, keep the same energy. Because one thing I love about I think that Boosie and Donald Trump are kind of like the same person. Because they both
Boosie,
like yeah, Boosie and Donald Trump are the same person because they both keep the same
I
energy for their
follow you.
ops. Like they be like, yo, like it's like Trump like, yo, like RIP John McCain, but he was trash. Like you know what I mean? Like RP John McCain, but F him still. Like it's still F John McCain. It's like that Von bar where it's like, we into it till you die, real street nigga. Like Trump keeps the same energy with all his ops. And I feel Boosie's the same way. Boosie's like, yo, like you don't feel like I remember there's a Vlad TV Boosie interview where it was like, you don't feel any sort of way that yeah, I think like it was like one of his baby mamas, like had, who he had beefed with had died, and Bruce like, nah, it's still, like I don't care if he's dead, it's still F him, So people, but most people obviously they have the Vine energy where it's like, man, like I just remember I love Vine, I love this. So I guess people, yeah, I guess it's nostalgia.
Because the thing is,
Um,
if the only reason they took Vine down was because, um, I want to say Twitter bought Vine. Maybe like Vine only lasted for 3 or 4 years. The first 2 years, Vine was only ran by the creators of Vine, like the people that made the app. Then they
right.
hired a team. Like, you know how most apps have a social team and they reach out to people and be like, oh, we see you killing it on Instagram. Why don't you come down to Silicon
Oh yeah,
Valley?
yeah. It's like what
They didn't
Twitch and
have that
YouTube
at
are
all.
doing now. Yeah, it's like what
Yeah, they
Twitch
didn't
and
have
YouTube
none
are
of that
doing.
shit. So then they got that like when I was a senior. So when I was a senior, they was doing like, oh, we're gonna take our like a select few like the top viners right now to London or we're gonna take them to New York, or we're gonna like that's when they started doing that, and that was the last year, but it was too late. They flew us out to like Wisconsin or something. They shot like a short. They took us to VidCon, but it was
So
very
they
late. But like,
tried, but it was too
yeah, the
late.
only reason it got shut down is because no one was online. Like the numbers, it literally was probably like boom, and then from like maybe year 2, it just slowly kept going down.
I like that sound effect for boom. I haven't heard that. That's a new one. I like that. So where were your parents during this? They were like, did they know that you were just like did you have fans? Like, were people like stopping at the mall? I presume that like, because every city has like that one mall, you know, where it's like, oh, like I'm going
Yeah,
to
we
the
got
mall.
Fairlane.
Yeah, there were people. Did you get stopped at Fairlane? Like, oh my goodness, that's Meech, because you were Meech on Mars always, right? For
Yeah. So like, I want to say
yeah.
ninth grade year they didn't know, because ninth grade year was like when I was probably like the most depressed, and like I'm introduced to a new world. You know what I mean? So like, there's there's every vice possible, every way to escape reality possible, and my parents were like on the verge of getting divorced, and like I also am like I have been going to the same school from 2nd to 8th grade. So I hadn't ever really experienced having to be the new kid in a very long time.
Okay, what's that like? Because I feel like being a new kid can go in either direction, right? Because like on the one hand, like it could be like, yo, you don't know anybody, but like on the other hand, it's like you don't know anybody, right? You're like a blank slate. People can just kind of you can be whoever you want. Like people and like you're
Yeah, so
new, so
I didn't know that.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I said, I got social anxiety, so I ain't talk. You feel me? Like I didn't talk. It was a little bit like people I went to school with 8th grade year. Like some of them went to my same school, so I knew them. But you see them in the hallway, you're talking to them, yada yada. But that's like 5 minutes, and you go to your class, and it's my same classman that I don't know. So then you gotta do the icebreaker, and I'm like, I'm Demetrius. You know what I mean? And it took that for me to like gain my confidence and stand like in who I am. Like I want to say my 9th grade year was probably like the most important part of my like high school life, because that's when I was like, regardless if people like me, I am who I am. And I was pretty popular in high school, but like I want to say 10th grade year is when like, because 9th grade year no one was paying attention to me. No one in my household was paying attention to me, like at all. So I could do whatever. I was smoking weed. I was out late. Like, bro, it was over. You know what I mean? And I want to say 10th grade year is when they knew I was on YouTube, because first, actually, Angelo's dad found out like 8th grade summer or 9th grade summer. Because for some reason, I think he followed Angelo on Instagram, and he saw our first video, and we were cussing. Like, you know how little kids cuss? Like like it don't even make sense when they're cussing. Like the cuss words don't.
It's like you're just trying it out. Like you're just getting used to it.
Yeah, we discussed it way too much. So he found out he didn't get mad at us.
It's like starter cursing,
Yeah, exactly. So he like made us mow the lawn and was like, y'all gotta stop cussing as much, yada yada. You know what I mean? And he didn't really tell us to stop doing it, nothing like that. My family found out 10th grade year like slowly, because like my dad, when I was out, my dad would see me, like when I was out with my dad, like people would see me like and stop me. I want to say that when I was like 16, somebody came up to me and was like, oh, like yada yada, and he like, oh, like this is a thing, like this actually like it's realistic, like this is going somewhere. And I'm like, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's early to know that, because I feel like at that point, like, I mean, it's funny because like if you think back about it, like the original Viners and YouTubers were basically just like Jackass, right? Like, and if you go back further than that, like, because like it's it's pranks, it's physical comedy, it's skits. So you can go, Mad TV. Like, it really is just a continuation of the comedic tradition. I'm over here trying to sound real smart, but like,
no, for you speaking facts. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
This shit makes sense.
but for somebody like look at that, especially somebody, I don't know how old your dad is, but he's clearly at least 16, 15, 13 years older than you, depending on how quickly he developed. But like, for him to see that at that point and be like, oh, this there's a future here, that's rare. I feel like most parents were like, yo, what, like this silly thing, like what y'all doing, like what are these silly videos y'all are making? But he saw like, oh, this could be,
it was still a little bit of that, like, but like, I think I still was in school. Like once I got to senior year, it was like, oh, so you still gonna do this? Like you ain't got no backup plan? You know what I mean? Like it was those things. But when it was 16, it was like, all right, at least you're not selling drugs or something. Go ahead. You know what I mean? Like,
well, yeah, so I'm glad you brought up selling drugs, because you're from Detroit. You're from the, your name is Meech. You're not big. You are little. You're not big, but I mean, there is that. Have you ever thought about selling drugs in large quantities, perhaps relocating to Atlanta to do it.
Have I ever thought about it?
Yeah, like, does you ever get that itch, that urge, like
Yeah,
Meech?
I mean, if I've been faced with that possibility, but like, I mean, I being from where I'm from, and like, I've seen what that gets people. You
And
know what
also,
I mean?
you already have the name, Meech,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Meech. You're kind of halfway there. But no, it's it's funny. Like, so I'm starting to wonder if Detroit people are just funny in general, and like I
No,
wonder if
we're
it's
fucking
because of the
hilarious.
weather. Because like there was this thread on Twitter that was like, yo, like why is it like, it was like Detroit rappers are so like disrespectful, and it's like
Oh yeah, our
Detroit
rappers
rappers
are
like
funny as fuck.
the rappers are so, I mean, are so creative and funny. Who's that dude? He got locked up. I mean, well, 42 Doug he doesn't really have the punchlines as much as like the dude young
He's from
OG
Flint.
something. Okay,
You
something
talking about
Rio.
you talking about Rio?
Yeah, Rio the young OG. Like
Yeah, he's
like
from
he just
Flint.
has these bars. I'm gonna look up some of the bars. But like okay, whoever if you're listening to this, go on Twitter and search. Why are Detroit rappers so disrespectful? And it'll just be this thread, and all the quote tweets are just like the funniest bars you have ever heard in your life. Like
But
it's
they
just
start
hilarious.
like people group it up, and it's not like, oh fuck Flint, but like to give Flint their flowers. Like he
I
from
love 42
Flint,
Doug. I love 42 Doug.
Doug from here, Doug from Detroit.
Okay.
Y and J is from Flint. Like all of them that like do the like where they be saying the most outlandish shit. Like they all are from Flint, and they the reason why people have started doing that. Like all of the Flint rappers are like
It's
that's they popular
hilarious.
rap.
It's hill. Oh no, I didn't mean to play this. That almost I didn't mean to play that. I was trying to find the lyrics. I have to cut that. You can't play with music on podcast or on YouTube or whatever. But no, I'm gonna find the because he had this hilarious bar where it was like, oh my Glock like a badass little kid. I put a switch on it. Like that's just hilarious. That's funny. That's humorous. Like I listen to that and I chuckle. I'm like, wow, that is like
That's your
that is like it reminds me like these like Drake. I feel like Drake really got in his bag. You could play a young Drake actually. Now that I think about a little bit maybe. Like
a young Drake.
yeah, I can see you playing maybe like when you I don't
I
know
do
like a
whatever they want me to do. I
yeah
am not gonna
exactly
argue with you about none of this stuff.
yeah. But like I feel like he had like I don't know if you listened to the Her Loss album. But I feel like he really had fun. It was like saying punchlines, like being witty. Like, but I mean, y'all are just so witty. Like I don't know if something. Well, I was gonna say if something in the water, but I didn't mean obviously there's
Yeah, yeah,
actual
yeah,
water.
yeah. I get
And we're
it. I
gonna
don't know if that might have been right in you. I don't know if that was just
I don't.
bad
It
timing.
just happened. I wasn't even trying to, but y'all are just funny. Like Rio the Young OG is funny, and all. I think there's one where a dude just talks about Tony Snell for the whole rap, and this is Tony Snell, like who's just like this basketball player.
Yeah, what he say? He
Um,
say
he said
my
something ugly, look like
my
Tony
young
Snell.
dog, black and
Oh,
ugly, shoot like Tony Snell.
okay,
That's bees.
V's.
Yeah,
He
that's
said
bees. Bees from here.
he said my little nigga black and ugly shoot like Tony Snell. Like that's just funny. Like that's hilarious. Like
I want
it's
you to know what I think while he's rapping that he's rapping over a Law and Order sample.
yeah, it's just so like I mean, I wish I could pull up that whole thread. I can't do it because music rights on YouTube or like Spotify. But it's just like what is it about? Because like other cities don't really have that like that like y'all just like y'all getting this like I mean you're not a rapper but like the city y'all getting this like witty creative punchline pocket that like other cities just don't have. Like where does that come from?
I mean, like most major cities ain't got shit that's going on here. You know what I mean? Like it be some funny shit going on here. Like, and it's just a place, bro. Like I can't really even explain it. Like I remember walking home like to the homie crib. Like we smoking. It's 0 degrees outside, and some funny shit happened, and that's just what we laughing about for the rest of our day. You know what I mean? Like we just be like making the best out of nothing. Like that's our natural
Yeah.
response to things. I want to say,
Yeah.
you know what I
I
mean?
wonder if
Like
it's the cold weather, like you're inside, you watch TV. Like we need a social scientist on this because like
that's the
it
thing though.
is
You're
like
not even inside, like, because if we a working class, you know what I mean? Like I be inside now, but I be like when I'm outside, like I really gotta be like outside
right,
all the time. Like you gotta shovel snow. You gotta be outside for like an hour. If you working, you gotta be outside. You know what I mean? Like
right.
we
So
really be having to deal with that shit. And the only I don't know if you ever seen a man when like they cold, like a person when they cold, bro. But like not just like a regular like it's 30 degrees, like it's windy, like your hands is frozen, you blowing like this.
Yeah, I
All you
can't do
got
that.
really is humor. Like all you really got to get you through that is humor, bro.
That's real. I lived in Boston for 4 years. It was cold there, but I can't. Detroit cold is another level, a very different level. So y'all are, yeah, Detroit cold is just different. Okay, so you moved to LA at some point, right? Which is a lot warmer than Detroit. Like when did you like was it after Vine? I guess we met in LA. We
Yeah, I
met through
moved.
Yara.
Yeah, I moved as soon as I graduated.
Oh, okay. So like you obviously like what did you move there for a job or were you just like yo I'm a creative like I have to this is where I have to be.
That's basically what it was. Like it was cause me and Angelo was gonna move together. But I like my friend Kenny Knox was moving and all my other friends were going off to college. You know what I mean? And you gotta think Vine just got deleted. Like a thing I worked for you, like everything I worked for while I was in high school, while people was working to get to college, was gone.
Well, were you a
That's it.
good student? Were you a good student?
Fuck no. I like because I would go home and I probably eat some food. I probably in school I probably was writing down like examples of stuff that I thought of while I was in school, so I can remember and make a Vine for it. I probably make 3 Vines, save them, upload one that day, save 2 for the next day, and then I also would edit like a YouTube video. So by the time I like turn my mind off of work, it's like 11 o'clock. I probably go to sleep
Right.
at like 2, wake up at 5, and go to school. So I'm going to sleep in school. And the only time I was a good, I think I had a 1.3
Oh
like
my
junior year.
goodness.
Like junior year, I had a
I feel like you
1.3.
have to I feel like you have to like try to get a 1.3.
Yeah, I was just going to sleep. I was just completely ignoring every. Only time I like, I think I never did bad in reading. Well, not reading, but English class because I really like stories. Math
Yeah.
class, I was like whatever. And then my teacher like, bro, I know how to do this shit. And so I would do it and boom. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, I just didn't try because I was like,
Yeah.
I either gotta go all the way with this or all the way with that, but I can't do both.
Yeah, it's fine. I wonder if that's a common thing with creatives because like I used to like it wasn't my reward, but like I would sit and just be in Barnes and Noble just like reading books. Like I love like I would read Judy Blume, like I would
Yeah,
read
for sure.
Harry Potter, Louis Satcher. Or I don't know how to pronounce it, but Satcher, Sideways Stories from Wayside High. I
Oh
think whoever
yeah.
did There's
Oh
a Boy in the
yeah.
there's that one was hilarious. Whoever did There's a Boy in the Girl's Bathroom, I think that's Louis Satcher as well. Yeah. I mean
We
my
have a
favorite
we
was
have an
Judy Blume
author
though.
named Jonathan Rand. He made these
I'll check
books
him out.
called American Chillers and Michigan Chillers. And he came to my school when I was like 3rd grade and he signed like 3 books with me and that changed my life. I still got the books.
Man, okay, I got really cool with Judy Blumes. I invited her to come to my college. Like I wrote for the Harvard Lampoon. It's like this organization at Harvard that like has
You
all
went to
these like
Harvard?
yeah. It's
That's why
nice.
you was in Boston?
Yes, that's why I was in Boston. You got back.
You can't. You can't. Yeah, I was in Boston. I lived in Boston for 4 years. You basically like you was just there, nigga. You lived in Boston because you went to Harvard.
I was in the trenches. I was in the trenches of Boston. Just I was out there thugging it. Well, no, it's weird because like if you say you went to Harvard, people are weird about it. Like you always just end up saying like, oh, I was in Boston because like people just get weird about it. Like, oh, you went to Harvard. Like, what was it like? It's like I don't know. I can't really compare it to anything else because I didn't go to any other schools really. So like, it was. I mean, I do think the things that were different about it probably is that like you would have like so many random speakers because like there's the law school, the business schools. Like you would just have like, oh, the president of Mexico is speaking at the Kennedy School, which is like the government school. It's like, oh, do I really want to take the 5-minute walk to go hear the president of Mexico? Like, I don't, I'm tired. And it's like, now I'm looking back, it's like, yo, like that's crazy. Just to be in a place where like you could go hear world leaders and business leaders speak all the time. And you're just like, oh, you get so used to it. It's almost like seeing, like hanging out with Drake or something in LA. Like the first time it's like, oh, yeah, the first few times, like, oh, but after some point, it's like, okay, like this is just normal. The other thing that was different was that you just had like people who were just really rich. Like this girl I was I don't say friends with, but like this girl I knew, like, acquaintances. Her dad bought the Scream. Like the painting, like the Scream.
Yeah, she
Her
bought
dad
it.
her dad bought it for I'm trying to find how much he bought it for. Hold on. Her
That's
dad bought the
nuts.
Scream for 119,922,500. He had to throw in that extra $500. And it's just like, yeah, her dad bought a painting for 120 million. We used to joke that like, oh, it's like she just stares at it while she shits. Like it's just outside. It's like in the hallway in her house. Like you just have like people like that where it's just like, oh, their dad is like. It was funny too because I feel like it made me like really, so it made me like, because I always had this thing where I was like, okay, I want to do like, I want to do the creative thing. I met like everybody from Harvard kind of works in consulting, finance, like investment banking, and it's like, all right, that's a quick, easy bread. You get a lot of money. If you just don't screw up, you'll be a millionaire by the time you're late 20s, really, probably. Especially for banking. Consulting, I don't know, but banking, like you get money. But I was like, man, I met all these TV writers, and I was like, yo, their job seems dope. Like their life just seems dope. Like they're hanging out. They're just like, they get to write for these shows. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna do, it's really makes me impressed that you just went straight to LA after high school. Cause I was always like, yo, like I want to do the LA thing, but I gotta stack up first. I gotta do the corporate thing first. And I remember like every time everyone in college, like, oh, like do what you love, like, follow your passion. I'm like, that's dumb. Like what if my passion is like, knitting, what am I like? But I remember like every now and then I would meet somebody who was like doing something off the, like all the black kids would get to Harvard and be like, I want to save the world. I want to be like Barack Obama. And then we see that check, we see like those companies come and recruit us and be like, oh, you can make 6 figures. Oh, oh, right after college. Oh, the world can wait. Then somebody else gonna say the world. But I remember like every now and then you would meet like a white girl who was like doing something different. Like she's like, I'm like all the black kids like on the, like I gotta get my summer internship, on Wall Street or whatever. You would meet a white girl who was doing something different, and she's like, oh, I'm backpacking across Europe. And you're like, oh, that's dope. And then you turn out it's like maybe like her dad's like the governor of New York, like there's this girl, she had like a pet pig. I was like, wow, like she has a pet pig. She's offbeat. She had like her hair was red, like she was just different. And I found out that her dad was Rudy Giuliani because over Christmas break, she got caught shoplifting. And it became like a big story because they're like, yo, how you gonna shoplift? And your dad is like the law and order. Like your dad is like, I mean, this is before Giuliani even became like, under Trump. It's like your dad is like the law and order 9/11, like prosecutor, the law and order 9/11 mayor. So I'd be like, every time I meet somebody who was doing something that was different, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna do like what I'm really passionate about. You'd be like, yeah, your dad is worth $1 billion. You know what I mean? Like that's not really for us. And I wish I hadn't had that point of view because I think that like, I mean, you came out, like people can come out to LA, New York, and have just like, I mean, you were different because you had built a 4-man person platform, but like people can just, you really can, like if you put your mind to it, like achieve something. Like you don't really need to have that. My parents are I don't think your parents are billionaires. You don't really
No,
need to
my
have.
dad a truck driver. My
Yeah.
dad a truck driver.
So yeah,
And
the
my
Harvard degree,
mom, I
right?
think that she do.
Your mom what?
I forget what my mom do.
Uh,
She like
yeah.
helps
See, so
people like she helps people from Ford with their insurance, like their like
okay.
health insurance.
Yeah, so like to take the Harvard like it is interesting, but I do like the two things was you get used to like really crazy speakers, and then you like just see like really like insanely rich old money, and I think it made me feel like I can't really pursue my dreams until I like hit a certain like I gotta stack up, um. But yeah, I mean that's why I was in Boston. But what were you on before that? Oh yeah, so you moved to LA because you were like, all right, like and I remember you moved back. I remember when you moved back, you were kind of like, yo, like I'm like I don't know, you didn't like LA, or like you just felt like you missed Detroit. Like what was like? I feel like you made a statement when you moved back.
Yeah, like, and it's funny too, cause like I went from being like this wide-eyed kid that's just like I still have that in me. Like that's still pretty much how I make my decisions. Um, but I've always been like, I have anxiety comes from worrying about the future or worrying about things you can't control. And so
Very true.
I always was thinking, you know what I mean? Like in high school, I was stacking up money. Like I know I wasn't going to college, but I'm like,
Were you getting
okay.
paid off YouTube or like off Vine? Or what? No, Vine wasn't
So
monetized,
when
was it?
Yeah, no, but people would take vines and put them on YouTube. And so there was this company called Collab, and what they would do was they would license your content for you. And if there's like a 9-minute Vine video, like compilation, they would be like, okay, his content is this whole 9 minutes, or his content is 10 seconds of this video. We need this amount, we're gonna get this video shut down because you don't have like the rights to
Oh,
do
so
this.
you were caking up.
Yeah, so like I think like once I think I want to say I signed with them like junior year, and like I said, I didn't make the 1 million followers or 3 million, 4 million followers until senior year, like, and that literally came from me looking at Angelo because Angelo had like there's this website called Rank Zoo, and you could see how much a person was gaining followers or losing followers per day. And I remember Angelo went on this crazy like spree where he like was gaining like 14 to 20,000 followers a day. And I'm like,
Oh
this is
wow.
nuts. I need to step it up. Just because, like, if you know, in Vine, you have to revine. So I want to help him see as many people as he can see. That can see him. You know what I mean? So if he got 2 million, I want to have 2 million too. So that if I got 1 million people that don't know him and they're not shared followers, then I can help integrate that audience. But
Yeah, it's like cross marketing almost.
yeah, exactly. And so I was like saving that money just because I knew I didn't know. I knew I wasn't going to college. I never applied to a college. I didn't do anything for college once.
Did your
Like,
parents press you at all? Like oh, you gonna go? Because you know how some people have those parents that are like, I have African parents. Like from the day I was a fetus, it's like, yo,
yeah,
you going to?
I'm knowing how to. My dad. Well, the difference was my dad didn't graduate high school. My dad dropped out, and my mom has her master's. So my mom was also heavily involved in like the things I was doing. Like I talked to her a lot, so she saw how passionate I was about it. She saw like that it was profitable. So she was like, "If you
Yeah,
don't want to go
I'm
to
sure that
college,
helped a lot. I'm sure that helped a lot.
oh yeah, 100%." And she was like, "If you don't want to go to college, but you also could." She also could just see like school wasn't a thing I wanted to do at that time. You know what I mean? My dad, it was like, you know, if you only was a high school football captain, you want your son to go to the NFL and take it all the way. He didn't
Yeah,
graduate high school, so he like, I want you to go to finish high school and go to college. You know what I mean? Like, and this is what I think I missed out on, and I want better for you. And so that was kind of like where that left us, but it wasn't. I like looking back, it wasn't discouraged. He wasn't discouraging me, but he just wanted me to always have a plan in case this plan didn't work. You know what
right.
I mean? Like his biggest advice with me was like multiple avenues of money, like multiple streams of money. So that like
Oh,
when this thing, like I don't gotta put all my chips on this one thing working. You know what I mean?
yeah. Also, I mean, truck driving. I mean, low key, I was looking during the whole pandemic. I'm like, I gotta buy a truck because you saw the truck drive, like the whole supply chain freeze up. Like, I'm like, wait, everything needs to move from point A to point B. Like, everything comes to the grocery store. Everything you see in the grocery store, it came there on a truck. Like, everything you see
Yeah,
anywhere came there on a truck. I'm like, yo,
100%.
I need to buy it. I was like, should I get a CDL? Like, should I be a funny truck driver? Like, I need to. But yeah, all right. So you moved to LA, and then you kind of like like what do you like you get like kind of like it doesn't you don't like it?
What truck driving?
No, no, like living in LA. Like, do
It
you
cut
like?
off for a second.
Okay, all right,
All
yeah,
I heard
no,
was you
yeah.
don't like
You hate your father.
it.
No, living in LA. 'Cause I feel like the LA thing is very, it's like
No,
it
I
can
fuck with
be, it
LA.
can choose, yeah, it can be different.
I fucked with LA. It was just like, you know what I mean? Like my grandma not getting no younger. My little brother's not getting no younger. He's only getting older. You know what I mean? Like a thing I would say all the time is like the time that I'm going, just know that I'm working for us. Like this isn't just to further me. Like I'm trying to make our last name mean something.
Right.
But y'all don't get to experience none of the results. You know what I mean? Like I don't get to share none of this shit with y'all. Like me, my me and my grandma went to a Pistons game like just randomly. You know what I mean? Because like I know the people at the Pistons, they like give me tickets and shit.
Oh, wait, is that how
And
you
like
got? Is that how you were courtside? Because I know you were courtside one game. Because
oh yeah, yeah.
courtside is
It's
a
just
curse.
like
Courtside is a
yeah,
curse. Because once you
I
sit
barely pay.
courtside, you don't really want to sit nowhere else. We had courtside, like this producer for the Simpsons had courtside tickets. And once your feet start touching that wood, you right behind Doc Rivers. It's like, I don't
Yeah, I
that
don't
200
like
level. I don't know.
I don't be caring just cause like all I go to basketball games for is nachos. I just want some good nachos, a slushy, and a double shot of tequila. I'm gonna put the double shot in the
Bruh.
slushy, and I'm good. I don't give a fuck as long as I'm not high up because I'm scared of heights.
Yeah.
But if
I mean,
I'm like anywhere besides the point where like you got to take the escalator up and then go up, I just can't do the heights. I'm gonna be nervous the whole time. But
have you ever been to the Golden Gate Bridge?
nah, in
Okay,
San
I was
Francisco.
Yeah, I've been in San Francisco a couple times recently, and I went to the Golden Gate Bridge. It's like it's like gigantic, and you feel so small. And like also it's weird because people it's a suicide destination, so it just
Yeah,
feels
yeah.
a little bit like is I was scared of heights as a kid. Like I never did roller coasters, but I feel like I felt a little bit of vertigo like walking in that area. But
You
yeah,
walk?
no, I didn't walk across the whole bridge, but I was like, basically, I'm a homebody. I'm like very dry. Like I'm very like people. I remember people would see my Instagram and be like, oh, like you're like back when I moved to LA, I'll be out at all the parties and with all these celebrities. But real down internally, I like to be at the crib, and so, but like I'm the type of person I'll be in a different city. I just won't leave the hotel. Like I'm not adventurous. But like I was like, you know
Yeah,
what?
same.
I don't know. Yeah, I was like, I went to San Francisco twice for like meetings back to back, and I was like, you know what? I don't know. Like it had been 10 years since I've been in San Francisco. I was, I don't know the next time I'm gonna be here. Let me explore the city in a spirit of wonder. I went to I was like, let me because the first time I didn't get to the Golden Gate Bridge. So the second time I was like, I went to the Golden Gate Bridge, I went to the zoo, which I kind of felt finessed by because the reptile and the bird enclosures were closed because there was like a bird flu going around. I think because the San Diego okay the issue is the San Diego zoo is like the number one zoo in the country. And I was like San Diego. I was like San Francisco. Like it made me think the San Francisco one was. So I googled it. I was like, well, so San Diego's number one, but I was like San Francisco. It's still like top 15. I'm gonna go. And it was just I was underwhelmed. They didn't even have the Tigers. This is a whole thing. I'm sorry. I felt like I was like, why did I come here? Like this is just a waste. But then the next day I went to like I thought my flight was earlier, but it was later, and so I went to a science museum. I went to an arts museum, but like I really explored the city. So I didn't walk across the whole bridge. I walked I walked like a third of the way through. I was like, oh, I thought because like they had put up railings. So I was like, because I know people say they should just put up railings because of suicides. So I was like, oh, I guess they put up railings for the suicides. But then I got past the 1/3 mark. I was like, oh no, it's just they have railings on this side. Once you get over the water, it's like once you get over the water, like they're gone. And like I like just being there and looking over it, it almost triggered like my childhood like fear of heights where I was just like I was like I gotta walk all the way, like I walk all the way back. And I was like, nah, I was like, man, you know what? Like, nah, you could thug it out. So then I walked back. But like it was just like I also was like what if people kill themselves just because like something just comes over them? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
so
it's for sure an intrusive thought too.
yeah, so
Like,
I was like, nah. I felt like vertigo. Like, but maybe that what you said about heights just reminded me of that. Like, but if you ever go to the World Trade, no, to the Golden Gate Bridge, it's like I just made me feel very small. Like it was just so massive, and like you just look over it. It's like it's just it's very beautiful.
I'm never gonna be outside of a car at the Golden Gate Bridge. I promise
Like I was,
you.
I was
I can almost assure you that I'm never gonna. I would jump.
okay.
I would probably
Okay.
jump.
No, okay. So I was gonna get to this. So you have like the whole like do you have the you matter? Well, no. Okay, we get to that. Okay, let's finish the LA. So you were in LA. You're like your family's not getting younger, so you moved back. Like you were like I'm moving
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
'Cause I remember you had a birthday party in LA, but I wasn't out there. But okay, so like the
I
mental health,
fucking
like
love birthday parties.
yeah, I'm not a big birthday person. I don't know. I
I
feel like I
just
don't know.
like getting everybody together. You know
It
what I
is no,
mean?
it's good. I mean, honestly,
Because
this
if
gonna be me.
you if
Oh, go ahead.
if you throw something just cause, like if I'm like, yeah, pull up to the house, we cooking. And I'll see you next time. But if I'm like, it's my birthday, bro. Come on. It's like,
Oh, okay, so
damn.
it's about guilt. It's about guilt. I feel you.
Yeah, for
It's about guilt.
sure about
It's about
guilt.
guilting
Bring
people.
your ass.
No, honestly, this is gonna be me being vulnerable, but like I think that like I've always been such an ambitious person that like my birthdays, I'm just like, oh, like I haven't like I think about what I have. It was just like stupid because like, if I think about what I have accomplished, like writing for Blackish, I was like 23 writing for like a hit show. Writing for The Simpsons. Like these are like dope things. But like every like birthdays, I'm like, oh, like I haven't, like I was just like I haven't done like what have I not accomplished? But you're right. I
Mm.
think that that's probably not the best way to look at it. But
But
okay, so
birthday is like if I can say something like if everything I have done today does not like if everything I've done before today has struck and gold and people love me and for some reason tomorrow I just cannot do it. Like none of the shit works. People stop supporting me. Like I've exceeded any expectation of where I'll come from. You know what I mean? Like
right,
if we
yeah,
track back the history of my last name, like the lineage, like I care so much about lineage. Like my grandma, her pride and joy as a child was that in Alabama, where the Harmons are from, the Abernathys are from,
Oh,
is that they were the only house with running water.
y'all not
They were the
related to the
only house
Abernathy's
on the
like
block
Ralph
with running
Aber?
water.
Wait, y'all not related to like Ralph Abernathy, like the civil rights dude, are you?
I couldn't tell you
Yeah, well,
because
every black person's kind of
I'm
related.
not doing 23andMe. I couldn't tell you.
Oh, bro. Okay, I have a thing about. I'm like, I don't know why any white person ever does 23andMe because I feel like it's always like, oh, like I'm like on the like the benefit is that you find out that you're like 11% Irish. The downside is that
Yeah,
like
yeah.
your uncle who like killed a bunch of like people at truck stops in like the 1970s like gets caught. Like they're always like, I don't know if you ever follow it, but they're always solving because then now they have genetic genealogy. They can if they have your DNA from a crime scene, like if someone from your family has uploaded, they basically use the genetic 23 like these websites. I don't know if it's 23andMe specifically because some of them have different laws and rights, but they use these websites to like track back, like, oh, like the killer is the great grand. Like they'll see where the killer's family tree intersects, and they'll figure out, okay, it must be the son of like, it must be descended from this person. Okay, this person has 3 sons. Okay, it couldn't have been these two. Like they're solving all these cases. Like I guess people be like, oh well, if one of my uncles killed a bunch of innocent women, like innocent people, then I want them to go to prison. Which that's true, but it's just kind of funny that like imagine that like you're just like, yo, I want to find out if I'm half Irish. And it's like, oh, well,
Yeah,
you're
you
half
tear your
Irish,
fucking
but
family apart.
so it turns out Grandpa Luke was actually the East Riverside Strangler, and he's going like I'm like that's kind of like that's a lot to deal with. like I wouldn't want to like I would be happy, but I would feel like damn like is he did what he did. But maybe he stopped killing in the 70s. Like maybe it was just a rough decade, and like he's not killing anymore. And like now, all because I wanted to figure out if I was like 5% Irish or if I was really like
Or like
Italian.
6.
Yeah, like or 6. Yeah, it's like, oh well, I don't know. I just it's just heavy, man. I'm just like, yo, like some dude is just like, imagine if you're one of those people who killed people in the 80s. Like you're just waiting for that knock one day, just like my niece, my niece uploaded to Jetmatch, and now it's just a wrap for me. Like it's over for me. Like I'm just not like I'm finished. Like damn, I might have killed 3 people in the 80s, but I've been a good citizen ever since then. And now it's
Did
just
you ever watch Dateline NBC?
bro, bro, I I live on Dateline. Like I don't watch really. I only watch comedies. I only watch dramas. Like I watch true crime. I'm a true crime snob. I only watch Dateline and Forensic Files, and they stopped really making Forensic Files. So like that's what I do. Like when I say I'll go to a city and I won't leave the hotel. It's I'm watching Dateline. I'm listening to the Dateline podcast. I'm just because it's so like I love it because I feel like it's like every episode is kind of similar. Like you come for the murder, but you stay for the relationship, right? Like it's always
Yeah,
like
why did this happen?
yeah, and it's always this. It's like okay, like they look. It really makes me think like it shows you how much you just don't know what's going on in people's lives, and you can get to the mental health stuff too. But like it'll be like, oh, Janet and Bob like were the perfect couple, and like then Bob gets killed, and it's like, wow, they were the perfect couple. It's like, oh well, actually they were 6 months behind on their mortgage, and Bob was having an affair, and their kid, it wasn't really Bob's. Like 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 Janet was sleeping with the milk. Well, no one has milkman anymore, but like Janet was sleeping with her boss, and it's just so like you just really never know. Like Dateline is just like, and I feel like it's there's no higher stakes than life and death, so it's every episode is about a murder pretty much. So yeah, you watch Dateline? Are you a Dateline? I have a fellow Dateline head. Okay, you like Keith Morrison? You like Lester Holt? Okay, you're a real. Yeah, I
Because
had a
I
chat.
grew up watching that with like my parents,
Yeah,
so it's
it's
just
funny.
kind of like
Yeah, I always wonder if like I got true crime from my parents. Like my dad would always be watching American Justice with like Bill Curtis, and like he'd be watching the first 48. I remember I watched the first 48, and like
yeah. I used to watch
I'd be
Fresh
like
48 all the fucking
like
time. Oh my
I'd be
god.
like 14. Oh yeah, Detective Caroline Mason, she don't miss. Like she had the people shaking. Like she come with the coldest gangsters. She just come in there and they'd be like, all right, it was. I'm not gonna tell you shit. And you're like, all right, man, it was Steve-O, Bobo, it was Lil Derek. But like it was Ladarius. I think they might have a Detroit. Like they might. I don't know if they should. They definitely have New Orleans,
They
Miami.
for sure may have a Detroit. I think
Yeah, I
they
feel like
do
they
because
might.
like anytime a show has an episode about us, like everybody tunes in because
Oh
that
yeah,
rarely
no.
happens. Like if
It's
we
just
had a
yeah.
Bad Girls Detroit or like a real love, what is it? Love and Hip Hop Detroit. Oh my god.
I hate Love and Hip Hop. The other day I was like, I don't really watch it, but I was like, why? There was a clip. It was like a 4-minute clip that was on Twitter that was floating around. It was like Safari and Erica Mena. Like they were talking about it was like a reunion. I was like, man, like I was like, I kind of
Yeah, she was
understand
talking about how
racism.
he don't take care of her and shit.
Yeah, I was
Take
like,
care of his
I
kids.
kind of understand racism now. Like if this is my introduction to black people, I would hate them too. Like
Hey,
I'm
that's
just joking.
so
That's terrible.
fucking funny.
I
Cause I
was about to say
say
that's
that
so
shit all the
terrible.
time. I say that shit all the time. If I wasn't black, I wouldn't fuck with niggas either. If
Well,
I
no,
don't know
okay.
no black people and I'm just watching it, hell no. Nah. Fuck
Okay,
no.
what's funny? I low key stole that joke because there was a tweet. I don't know. Actually, he played for the Pistons, but he played for the Clippers after. I think it was bro, not Reggie Bullock. Oh my, not
Was
Reggie
it Reggie?
Bullock.
Was it? Is his last name Bullock? The one with the goggles.
Oh, Reggie Jackson.
Reggie Jackson. Yeah, he used to play for OKC too.
No, yeah, Reggie Jackson. Okay, yeah. So bro, I saw a tweet and someone was like, "Yo, if every black person looked like Reggie Jackson, I would understand racism." And I was like, "Oh my, like you couldn't even say Tony Snell or something." Like, you couldn't.
But Reggie Jackson is be looking crazy. I've never seen that man with a haircut.
Oh,
And his
people also say
eyes
he
is just fucking
yeah.
man. Reggie Jackson be looking nuts. My God.
People say he looks like Bobby Shmurda too. I get it. Like
Yeah, he's
but
Bobby
yeah,
Smurder, just him with a haircut.
I feel you. Oh, okay, yeah, it's that's I thought you were about to say I thought you might be like, yo, that's really messed up. I'm glad you said that joke was funny because I thought you were about to be like, yo, that's really messed up, man.
Oh
You
no,
can't
I'm
be
a
saying
dark
that,
humor guy.
bro. So that Simpsons dude that I told you, that dude Joel Cohen, he was a dark humor guy. He would just say certain things that it would just be like, like it would just be, he'd be like, oh, he'd be like, oh, that was a good joke for you. I mean, very low bar, very low bar. Like he would just like do like little things. But all right, so you talk about how you would jump like the Golden Gate Bridge. That's so one thing I feel like you're like the whole mental health thing. Like you're very vulnerable. Like I feel like black men are just not very vulnerable. Like even myself, like I'm just like I don't know if you heard of We're Not Really Strangers. Like my friend had this card game called We're Not
Yeah,
Really Strangers. It
yeah,
like
yeah, of
took
course.
over, and I remember so she's a model, and then her friend's like
Is
this
it
really
Kylan?
gorgeous.
Is her name
Kareem,
Kylan?
Kareem,
Green, yeah.
Kareem. Yeah, so Kareem's like this model, and then like her friend Iman's like she's not a model, but she's like beautiful. And actually, you can be beautiful and not be a model. But she's very beautiful. So like they would like be doing like they'll be they spent years and years grinding. Like they'll be at Soho House in LA, which is like this members club, which has like a lot of older dudes. It's like this kind of like fancy members club, and they'll be
I'll
like
be at Soho
walking.
House, man. You guys explain it
Yeah,
to me.
I
You
know.
know
I
what I
got
mean?
it
I'm
for the
tapped in.
I used to be a member, Jody Smith. Shout out Jody Smith. She was Queen Sugar. She like locked me in like early in my LA tenure. But like they'll be walking around like she would do these events where she would have people play the game. And for people who are unfamiliar, We're Not Really Strangers. It's a card game, but like what you do is like basically it's like 3 levels and like you draw questions and the questions just get increasingly like at least for me uncomfortably personal, like increasingly personal and like deep and like really whatever you could Google and like look at the questions, but they're very like
I know we're
intrusive.
not really strangers. I was
Yeah,
just letting you get this off
I
because
know,
I
I
know
know.
other people listening to us.
Yeah, exactly,
Like I
exactly.
follow them and everything. I fuck with the
Okay,
whole
yeah.
shit.
So let me.
They just dropped the sex one.
Oh, exactly. So okay, so let
See,
me
I'm
tell
tapped
you
in.
like. So I'm so unvulnerable. Like she would have these nights, and she would have at Soho House have people come and play it, and she would do these events. And first of all, I just like like I'll go there to support, but I'll never participate. Cause I'm like I'm not going to talk to a stranger about my feelings. Like I'm what I like to talk to a stranger about my feelings, And then like I would support her, but it was almost like your homie who can't rap, but you just support him anyway. Like I was like this, like I was like, first of all, how's the game? There's no score. There's no winner and loser. It's a card game? What? And then like I'm like also like I'm like the only reason people are even like messing with this because y'all are hot. Like y'all are 2 beautiful women walking around Soho House that has a whole bunch of older dudes, Hollywood, older dudes, younger women. I mean, not just Hollywood, just the world. And obviously,
Yeah.
like if 2 beautiful women walk up to me and start asking me a bunch of questions about myself, I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, like yes, please keep going. So I was just support, but I thought it was like, oh, this little cute thing that she's doing, like it's hey, she wants to start a business, like hey, like she'll grow out of it. And then obviously, We're Not Really Strangers blew up. Millions of followers. They're in like Target. Like the game is sold in Target. Like it's a legitimate, gigantic business. And I'll have her on at some point. But like, like I think that like I'm just so far from being vulnerable that I just couldn't grasp that like people would want to like sit with strangers, even with people they know, and like ask these questions and get to know each other. But like you're very vulnerable. I feel like black man. Like I think that's why when Kobe died, like I'm the type of person who like I don't understand why people cry when celebrities die. When Kobe died, I cried like a baby. Like I fell down to my knees. Like I was bawling. Like I was weeping. Like I was like ugly crying. And I feel like it was like in that whole week, you saw like Shaq cry. You saw all these black men. Like I mean, Michael Jordan cried at the memorial. Like, and so like it's so unusual for black men to be vulnerable. So I wonder, like, how is it, like, how are you able to be so open and vulnerable about like your mental health and all these these like your struggles and like your ups and downs and just like your mental health in general, because that's a big part of your brand.
Well, like I would say it starts with like me having a very like good relationship with my mom. Like I would say that the harder things for me to learn now are like balancing masculinity. Like like I would shy away from my aggression because I thought aggression only was like anger and cussing somebody out and yelling versus aggression or like even something on the same spectrum of that word, but not as far off as like being assertive. You know what I mean? Like I may not have been assertive when I needed to because I didn't know how to do that because I didn't have a good relationship with my dad at a point in time. But you know, women are naturally more vulnerable and more communicative of their feelings and being able to like elaborate on those things and like the things that they feel internally. But
And to other women, right? I feel like, man, it's like we don't like other men. Like we kind of talk about, yo, you saw LeBron last night. Oh,
they would be
like
saying bullshit.
yeah, like Harden's trash. Like it's like I feel like so much of our relationship. Like I low-key have a theory that part of the reason that like Kobe hit us so hard, like black men, is like so many of our relationship building is just rooted in like sports and hoops. And it's just like, like you saw the game last night, you watched the game together, you make fun of, let's say the Pistons are trash. I make fun of, the Pistons lost last night. You make fun of me because the Rockets lost. And it's like, it's not real. Like it's great, but it's not real. Like women will talk. I mean, I don't want to make broad stroke
No,
generalizations, but
they
like
do. It's
women
not
will
even
talk about,
generalization. Like women really get to the fucking nitty gritty of the shit.
yeah, like what they're really going through, like what they're like, what's really bothering them, like what's got them up, what's got them down, what's got them unhappy, who hurt them, like because man, we don't want to, like there's this hilarious tweet. I wish I could credit the person, but people like there's this tweet that was like, guys will be like, oh, like after breaking, they're like, yo, they're like, yo, I still beat. It's like, my nigga, you are in immense pain. like, like, man, yeah, whatever, man, still beat. It's like, my guy, you're deeply unhappy. Like you're incredibly sad right now. It's okay.
Yeah, I'll say like I grew up around men because like I got 3 older brothers. I got my father. My mom was like the monarch of the house. Like we all respected her. But I just had that. I'm the youngest, so I always had that tight bond with her. But like as far as verbalizing it on social media, it was like I found out about social media at like 8th grade because Instagram. You know what I mean? And then 9th grade, like I told you, is when nobody in my house was listening to me. So I was on Tumblr. Yeah, I mean, that's the place where it's everybody talking. And I'm like, shit, I got all these feelings inside me. Like I naturally was, like I said, I was a writer. I was writing poetry already. I was talking
You're like a young Tupac. Tupac was very like people forget like Tupac was very like, I'm not going to even say effeminate because that's going to sound like I'm dissing him when I love him. He's like he's like, I feel like my 2 idols in life growing up. Tupac was like my first real idol, and then Kobe was like my second real idol. I like Drake a lot. He was never an idol though, and now it's weird because like I'm not gonna say we like know each other, but like I've been around and we've talked, we texted before. Like it's not, but like I'll say those are like my one, like the first 2 men. Like Tupac's death couldn't really hit me. I was so young, but Kobe's death hit me. But like, yeah, like yeah. But go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
oh no, but I get what you're saying. He had a good duality of masculinity and femininity.
Yeah, yeah. He could really like. He was a poet. He was an actor. He was he was a real like. He could really tap into his like. He was he was always performing masculinity. You know what I mean? You could tell if you go back and watch his early interviews, like him dancing with Jada and like him and Jada having this super, best friendship. And like, but he was all, and like just being this poet, this dude who loved like, Starry Night by Van Gogh and, stuff like that, where it's like, he was, he was, like he had those 2 sides. I feel like when you talk, it reminds me of that, like you're this poet, but like, it's like, the yin and yang, right? Of like being a man, but also being like really sensitive, like being really.
There's
sensitive.
no way to exist as an individual without having like as a woman. Your job is to learn how to like master and balance out your masculinity. As a man, is your responsibility is to learn how to like master and learn your femininity. And so like I know that now. You know what I mean? But at the time I was just a angst, like high school student, nobody talked to in my household. So I was just putting out the things that I normally would write down in a journal or put in my notes. I was putting it on social media. And so I already stripped myself from that like fear of just sharing things with complete strangers. But then it was easier because it was like once I shared with like my like once my family found out that I was like self harming and stuff, it was real
How they
because I
find
have to
out?
look at them after this conversation and they know something about me now. Versus like social media, I can tweet anything and delete the shit, and I'm
Well,
never gonna run in. What you about to say?
I was gonna say, how did they find out? That's a very because I feel like I mean I knew someone who self harmed. It's like there are areas to do it, and like what I mean if assuming it's cutting, like there are ways to do it where I feel like people get kind of good at it right over time. And it's like
Oh
they
yeah,
good
I
at hiding
definitely
it.
was. If I didn't say anything, they would never notice. I
Oh
shared it with
wow,
my mom because my mom was at a very low point. Because like I said, like ninth grade, my parents were talking about getting divorced, and my dad like was a very large chunk of the financial winner. You know what I mean?
right.
And I remember being in her room and she was like in the shower, but she was in like my place was the bathroom because you can lock the door. Nobody's gonna question you being in the bathroom.
Right.
And so I just knew the signs of what I would do. And I'm like, she in there too long. So I knocked on the door and she responded maybe at the third knock, like the third like set of knocks. And I'm just my mind just started worrying. So I tried to open the door and it was locked. And she had no reason to lock the door because there's a door to their room, there's a door to the bathroom. Why would anybody be in her room? You know what I mean? And so when she finally let me in, she's like on the floor like crying. And like I empathized with what she was going through. And I didn't want her to go through what I was going through. And like that being my escape. So I shared it with her. And her being a mother, she wanted to like help. So like maybe like a day or two later, I walk in the house, everybody in the living room, and I'm like, fuck.
Oh wow. It's like you told me you wouldn't tell anybody like you op.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. You know what I mean? And it was like, I guess just as I started, like, because I was making vines and stuff, like, the opposite of comedy is tragedy. And so, like, the greatest comedians and like the greatest like comedic actors, you think Robin Williams and such, like the people
Jim
who,
Carrey. Jim Carrey.
yeah,
Like
they
people.
they they go through shit. Like
What?
you gotta go through shit to like it's naturally like a response to trauma is humor. You
Yeah,
know what
well,
I mean?
people. It's funny. People are always surprised when comedians are like depressed or have mental health issues. Or I mean, maybe less so after Robin Williams, but it's like comedy is often a coping mechanism. Like, I had somebody tell me, and I don't know how true this is, but like someone's like, "Yo, if you notice, like a lot of TV writers, are like kind of short and fat, or like tall and lanky. And it's like people who are basically like who don't fit in, like people who kind of are just like, like just stand out a little bit, And I think that
Yeah.
like yeah, like there's like comedy, like laughing is often a coping mechanism, right? And it's a great one, but it can be like if you laugh at everything, you start to kind of get a little bit numb to things, and then you can't, it
Yeah,
becomes too much.
I was telling a friend, I'm like, yeah, I don't like being around people when I'm going through stuff, not because like it makes it worse. I was like, but like I don't know how to not smile when something's
Wow,
wrong.
that's very profound. Yeah, it's like and I'm trying. I feel like I've gotten better over the past like year or two. But I'm the type of person who like I'll be going through something and like I won't tell even the people closest to me. Like they'll be like, "Wait, you like it could be like something crazy," and it's like I won't even tell. But I think it's because like I did this one of those I think it's like what's your attachment style things recently. So I was talking to like some girl, like a friend, and she's like, "Oh, like do this quiz." And mine was like fearful avoidant, which I guess is like it's almost like a fear of abandonment, right? It's like, oh, like if I start telling you what I'm going through and I get used to you being there for me, what's gonna happen when you're not, right?
Yeah.
Like, and then which I think it's like if you approach everything like that, then it's like you're never gonna you're just gonna carry stuff by
Yeah.
yourself, and it's just gonna like pile on. It's tough. Like, what are your thoughts on therapy?
I just recently got into therapy. I need to get back into it. I was being consistent with it, and then like I experienced like like two of my uncles passed in like consecutive weeks, and I just was mourning, and I couldn't get back. Like for me to get back up, I just like needed to shut out everything, and so I
Well,
just like
yeah.
deleted everything. I like wasn't on my phone. I was just at home,
Was
and
that
so
this
like
year or like
now,
was that recently or?
maybe like a month ago, I
Oh
want to
man, I'm sorry to
say.
hear that. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, like not an exact month, so like not October 30th, but probably like the beginning, like the first 2 weeks of October.
Wow.
My like one of my uncles, he passed. He passed from like older age, and then another one of my uncles passed from lung cancer. And
Yeah.
then we're both on different sides of the family. But I love therapy. I think therapy. Like I know people like you just paying somebody to listen to you talk, and it's like yeah,
See, okay,
yeah, like yeah. Someone is talking to you, and they have professional like understanding of what you may be going through, so they can give you advice. They could tell you
okay.
like what you
See,
gonna say.
no, it's funny. I'm not. I feel like I'm not. Okay, I'm not necessarily the person who's like, "Yo, you're just paying somebody to listen to you." But like, I feel like so I've had limited. I've done it a couple of times. I have very limited. I'm already talking like it's a drug. Like I've done it. I've done it. You know, I've experimented with it. But I've had a couple of times, and I feel like my beef with it. Not that I have like. First of all, I had a tweet that went kind of not super viral, but I was like, "Yo, there's nothing therapy can do for you that like a good game of pickup hoops can't." Because like when I hoop, like I have a rule this year that like recently I'm like, I won't turn on a hoop session. Like I hoop like on Sunday. Like I go to the gym like every day, but I hoop. There's like a hoop session in the gym near me like on Sunday morning and like Saturday and Sunday morning. And I go like it's freeing. You're having fun. You're connecting with people. You're talking to people, and like even like recently, there's been a lot of there's like this week in the New York Times and like the Washington Post, there's been these articles about how like Americans are spending more alone time than ever. Like it's really accelerated the past few years. Between the pandemic, working from home, just screens, the rise of streaming, the rise of smartphones, like people are just like alone more than ever. And like men, especially, just like not forming close relationships. So I look at like basketball. It's like, oh, I can like be around, and like I tweet as a joke about there's nothing therapy can do for you that hooping can't. But I like, like getting your heart rate flowing, like your blood flow and all that stuff. And then people were like, it's funny, like people were like, there are a lot of people agreeing, but then a lot of people being like, yo, this is why niggas always, like this is niggas always say that, this is what's wrong with y'all. Basically, y'all think, y'all not in therapy, y'all over here hooping, like y'all be at the gym fighting each other. And there actually was a fight at the gym recently. But but yeah, I don't know. I think like in my experience with it, I feel like I don't know if I watched too many movies growing up or like too many like TV shows. I always think that therapy is like they tell you like, okay, like, well, the reason you feel this way is because your mom forgot to pick you up from daycare when you were 5 years old, and like that's what that's why. Like they tell you why you feel like why something. I feel like I thought they tell you the why, or they also like kind of give you like solutions. Right? I'm a very solution oriented person. Like okay, like it's kind of like how
Same.
people would be like like there's always these tweets about how like a woman would be like, oh, I'm talking to my boyfriend, he jumps straight to the solution when sometimes I just want to vent. Like I'm not, but like I'm a very solution oriented person.
Yeah, I don't like
So I
standing
feel
on the
like,
problem too long.
yeah. So I feel like in my experiences, and maybe I just had the wrong ones, but it's like it's just me saying what's going on, what I'm going, what's going on, but like never like, oh well, okay, this is why you exhibit this sort of behavior, or this, or like, well, next time you want to do this, do that instead. Or like, take 15 deep. Like it's like, okay, I just talked to this dude for this dude or this woman for 45 minutes and just expressed, what I was going through, but there was no sort of like, okay, well, this is what you should do next time. This is what you should do differently. This is why. And like, it's like, I could have just talked to a friend, but then I do think that like, you're right. Like talking to friends, first of all, if you're constantly unloading on friends, like you don't like, they have their own stuff going through too. They're also like biased because they know you. So I understand why it's more valuable than talking to friends, because like friends can like, they can abandon you. And also they can like, they just kind of get tired of it, right? It's like, damn, like again, like
Yeah.
again. So I agree with that, but I feel like I wish there was, and I want to get a therapist on here at some point, but it's like I wish there was like a more kind of solution oriented where it's like, okay, like therapy, but like the first 20 minutes we're gonna talk about your problems, but the next 20 we're gonna talk about like what you got, like how you can like, even if it's something basic, like okay, like next time you're feeling this way, or next time you're about to do something that like you probably will end up regretting, like here's what you should do. That's like my not anti therapy, but like my like therapy rant.
I feel like because I can't like I'm an advocate for therapy as a person that I've only been to therapy 3 different times. Not like 3 different sessions, but like 3 different points in my life. And the first time was family therapy with my like parents when they were like talking about divorce and shit. And it was like the therapist asking me how is what they're doing and how they're arguing and fighting affecting me, and trying to get them to see it, and as well as like them trying to like mend their relationship. The
Right.
second time was in LA. I want to say like COVID happened 2020. I want to say 2018, and I had a black woman therapist, and she completely changed like the way I view my relationship with my father.
Oh
Like
wow. Well,
just by
see.
one suggestion, you know what I mean? And like, but it like the way I view therapy is like going to the gym. You know what I mean? Like I have been going to the gym now for 3 months, and now I'm seeing the results. Like that first week, I felt
Okay.
sore. Like I felt like I went to the gym, but it was like if I stop right now, I'm gonna be like, fuck the gym hoax. You know what I mean? And so like and not even saying that's what you're saying, because I get to like the solution oriented things, because like it's been times where like I went in there with a problem and wanting a solution, and they didn't give me that, but I left out with like at least a little bit light, like a little bit lighter. But it's like if you only have an hour or hour and 30 minutes of conversation with a person who do not know you, it's going to take like 2 months for them to even understand who you are, your traumas, the things you enjoy. You know what I mean? Like it got to the point like where I was going to her so consistently, like 3 months, 4 months, where when I was here, it wasn't like, oh yeah, I got a problem today. It was like, well, how was your day today? And I'm like, man, chilling. You know what I mean? This happened, this happened. That's good. I'm proud of you. You know what I mean? And then that's if I didn't hear nobody say stay proud of me today, or this week for something I did that was really important to me, like I got that from that as well. Like it wasn't always just like the bad, you know what I mean? It was like once I formed that relationship with them and they understood me and I felt comfortable and they felt like comfortable enough to, you know what I mean? Because as a professional, they don't want to like give you advice and they don't know you yet, because they might give you advice that is a one off. Like you like, yeah, I made this impulsive decision. They can't write you off as an impulsive person yet. You know what I mean? Like they gotta really see if this is a problem you have or if this is a moment. You know what I mean? Like my therapist was asking me questions to make sure that I wasn't bipolar. You know what I mean? And he like, well, you have like impulsive behaviors, but do these impulsive behaviors come as a consequence of your depression? And I'm like, no.
Hmm.
When I'm depressed, I'm no. And he's like, okay. You know what I mean? And then later he's like, I only asked you to any of this so I could further understand like how you handle situations, so I could further understand like your mind. But
Right.
yeah, therapy be helping me just because like uh I would say as well, I don't feel like a lot of people around me get me. You know what I mean? Like I also have survivor's guilt. You know what I mean? Like what do
Did
I
you lose a
look
lot of
like?
people? Did you lose a lot of people growing up? Like people who didn't make it to where you made it, basically.
Yeah, like make it to where I made it. Or just like that sense of like what do I look like complaining to my brother uh like when I was like 20, or you know, when I was like 20, and I'm like, yeah, like man, I just don't know, like the business is growing and like I'm scared to fail, and he in jail. You know what I mean? Like you feel like you don't even have a right to say those things. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I'm
Well,
not gonna say it to him, this person that I feel it about or I feel it towards, but I can just say it to my therapist and they can reassure me that I'm valid for feeling those feelings, because two of these things can exist at the same time. But it'd be
that's
hard for
very
me to talk to
true.
my friends about my problems because I know what they're going through, and it just feels like my problems don't really have the same
Yeah.
value. You know what I
Well,
mean?
it's funny. I read there's this guy Ezra Koenig. He's the lead singer of this band Vampire Weekend, and
I know what you're
he
talking
had
about.
this. Yeah, I love Ezra. Okay, cool. I feel like I'm one of those weird people. Like my music take is so eclectic that I'm like I gotta explain like okay, this random artist. But he had this
Yeah,
internet.
I think he wrote or he did something that show with Jaden Smith on Netflix.
Oh yeah. He co-wrote.
Neo
He was
Yokio.
co-wrote, co-produced. Yeah, you know, Yokio. He was definitely a big part of that. I think he was definitely like very heavily involved. But yeah,
Fucking love
he had a
Neo Yokio.
yeah, I haven't watched it yet, honestly. Also I don't really watch a lot of comedies because I'll like either like as a writer, I don't know if you do this as a viner, as a creative in general, but like I'll watch it, but through the lens of like, oh, like this line was ADR,
Yeah.
which is like that's ADR is when you like you didn't like they redo the line in the studio and like you'll be on the back of the actor's head for like 20 seconds and like they didn't say that on set, that you know, or like to the audience, you probably know you would know what ADR is, but like you know, or I'll watch something like, oh, like man, that joke could have been 5% better. or like
Yeah,
I'll
because you are a part of the production of it and you know what that looks like, you kind of get very critical.
yeah, I just watch it, or like sometimes straight up, I'll be like jealous. I'll be like, oh, like this person, like I should like. I remember like Insecure. I felt like yo, like I mean, because after Blackish, I had basically like a season and a half where I wasn't really like I was selling pilots. Like I sold a couple pilots, but I wasn't on the show. I remember thinking like, yo, like Insecure, that's like a layup. Like I'm like a black millennial living in Los Angeles, dating a little bit. Like did like how like yo, I should be on Insecure. Like I should be writing for Insecure. So if I watch it, I'll be like, I mean, less so for Insecure, honestly, but like that's just an example. But like I'll be like a little like salty.
No, I
But
get that
yeah,
for sure, especially when like people from the internet get on TV. I'm like, man, like, come on,
yeah,
what's up?
yeah.
I feel like I'm good enough. Goddamn, what I'm doing
Yeah,
wrong? You know what I mean? I get that for sure.
I actually helped
I
the dude
get
from the internet.
both of those things that you said for why you don't watch things. I get both of those
Yeah.
for sure.
Also, so Ezra actually created Neo Yokio. He wrote and created it. Oh, I helped the internet dude get on TV. Well, I mean, look, I'm not gonna say like, he did it himself, but King Kieran, we were doing a barbershop episode of Blackish, and Kenya was like,
Mm.
"Yo, I don't really like a lot of these skit people." Like Kenya Barris, creator of Blackish, he's like, "I don't really like a lot of these skit people, but like, I like Kieran. Like, he's funny. He was doing all those skits on Instagram." And like I was like, oh, I'll try again because we're both from Houston. I remember like he didn't have like an agent. I had to, like hit him up through Instagram, like through like mutual friends. But yeah, like it's rare. Like I feel like internet people kind of get pigeonholed. Like Batch has made the leap. The internet, it's like what you're saying about Vine. Like Batch has made the leap. Like a lot of internet people kind of
My
just get
favorite is
pigeonholed.
Melvin Gregg.
Yeah, like a lot of people just get kind of pigeonholed where it's like how you come up. It reminds me of like women who don't do OnlyFans because they're like, oh, I want to be taken seriously as an actor or as an actress. Like I'm not gonna do OnlyFans because like it's gonna like for the long game. It's like a little unfair, like in both cases. But yeah, I mean, so you also built a brand around like the mental health thing, like the You Matter, and like how like I remember. So there's a dude who this dude named K Money. He's like I like mess around a little bit with the whole crypto NFT world a little bit. This dude named like K Money. He basically makes like the equivalent of like vines and sketches and YouTube like for about crypto. And like he's also very vocal and public about like suffering with like self-harm. Like he'll tweet about like, what he's going through, self-harm, depression. And he had a thread recently where it was like he was like, I know people are gonna say I'm just doing this for attention, or like how do you deal with people kind of like, especially because you built a brand too, where like people be like, oh, like I remember I saw a tweet that was like, oh, like you were like, it was like a video of you at a party. He's like, someone's like, yo, they're like, bro, be having the time of his life with all depression money. And I'm like, bro, like I was like, I noticed it, bro. Like he's not like he didn't say that the hoodie's gonna cure your depression. Like, what I mean? Like, but there, I feel like people feel like it's weird. Like people feel like certain people shouldn't be successful almost. Like it's like,
Yeah,
it's weird.
I like if I can be honest, like
You
that's
can,
been one
you
of the
can.
things that affects my mental health the most. Like just from
Well,
us,
try not
us
to let it. I mean, try not like because the internet people are just haters. Like people, like I think that
no,
like
most definitely, and that's
people
that's the
are
thing I've been trying to
unhappy.
understand. But like from literally from 14, like you got to think when I got on social media, it was for the need of community to be seen and validation. I was sharing like the things I couldn't share at home, and Vine happened. So that was just 6 seconds of my life and 6 seconds of my thoughts. And then I got on Twitter and I was sharing the same Vines on Twitter. And then I was sharing my thoughts and then I was sharing the things I was going through. And then there's encouragement, you know what I mean? Because like I understand how things work. Like uh, you build things. People like being a part of building it because it's funner for them to tear it down. And so
Yeah,
like when I first made the brand, it got so much positive like and reassurance. Like we love this, we need this. Because for me, like why I made it, I already like used clothing as a muse, like as a not as a muse, as a medium to get out like the things I was like feeling at that time. Not even just mental health, but if I had a lot of pride in the city of Detroit, I would make like I told you, I taught myself Photoshop and like Illustrator very young. So I started a clothing brand before I ever did anything of influence stature. Like I
well,
only started making like YouTube videos and stuff and trying to really do it is because I sent certain influencers my clothing as a like eighth grader and
oh
they
wow.
never posted it, they never shouted it out. And I
And
was like,
was
fuck.
it still called You Matter back then?
No, it didn't become you. I think the first name was like the Golden Life Clothing or like Dope Society or something like that, like back in that era of like New York Tumblr and shit, like when dope was still a word. And
Yeah.
I was like, if I sent this to these people and I spent maybe $80 out of my bank account as an eighth grader, ninth grader,
That's a
and
lot.
all they do is have followers, and that's what I need, then I'll just do it myself. Like that's when I
Yeah,
started. I already was doing it, but I was like, I'll just take it serious now. And
yo, that's a very like smart way. I would have. I don't think I would have ever thought about that as like an eighth grader. And like, wait, like I'm paying money to give these people things for free just because they have followers. Why don't I just get followers? Like that's a very
yeah,
like
yeah, I
logical
definitely have
way.
always had a business mindset. Um, but yeah, so like I always have been a person that do that for like the ideas I have. So when I did You Matter, it was senior year. I want to say the summer of senior year. I wrote like the things that are on the sleeves. I wrote that like for myself, like on a sticky note for myself as like a positive affirmation. Cause like I don't think I need to fake and be like, you're so strong right now. Like ignoring anything you're going through. Like I can say like I am not okay right now, but like I also can recognize that like tomorrow is another day. Like I will be better. You know what I mean? Like I acknowledge that I've been through these things. And so I want to say probably from the start of You Matter, everything's good. And just as things start to keep going good and keep going good, it's always going to be people in the background like LeBron, like 90% of the world, like LeBron is a great basketball player. And niggas like, fuck LeBron. I don't fucking like him. Beyonce is amazing. Fuck Beyonce.
Yeah.
And so
Oh,
like,
Drake gets it bad too. I think about like,
oh,
man, like
100%.
people just it's just like they just enjoy like there's a certain level of joy and like I playfully hate LeBron because I'm a big James Harden fan and but not really like I can appreciate that man as what that man has done, but I feel like there are people who just like they just enjoy hating success. They just enjoy like there's a joy in it that's kind of like weird. And it's also like with the UMass, like I feel like I'm sure you've been online like no like you've been online long enough to know that not to let stuff get to you. But like I would understand those like and first of all those comments are like not the majority, right? I understand a comment like that if like you were faking this, like if you really never self harmed or you just made this rant to capitalize, like people really be depressed out here. Like let me make some like, but you really it's your story, like you've really gone through it. But yeah, I think I wouldn't like I brought that up because I just feel like I wonder how that affects you because I feel like like it's weird how strangers talking about us online can because like then we could just like it's like that what Tyler the Creator said on that tweet like oh what's online bullying
You could
is
just
just
log
log
out.
yeah just log off. It's like if they're not really impacting your real life but like sometimes like like you could just see something in the wrong like it could just catch you on the wrong day or the wrong moment and it just like kind of
Yeah,
makes
because
you feel
like say there's a group like there's a pocket of Twitter that like believes I'm transphobic. And I was having a horrible day. And this was like when I was venturing out for You Matter of like who we can help represent and like share links and like do things like that for because we already like have people that deal with mental health, but that's not just that's a blanket, that's an umbrella. Black people deal with mental health. People in the LGBTQ community deal with mental health. You know what I mean? As an immigrant, you may deal with mental health issues because your parents and the pressure they put on you. So how can we help represent this? And so I made pride flags. And I think I'm like 20 at the time. I can't even legally drink. Like the ideas I have are just like very idealistic, that they're not always grounded in reality. So I'm like, yeah, like I hate that during Pride Month, these brands, these large corporations, be like, fuck it, throw a flag on it and sell it for $30, and we donating 10%. I'm like, I'm gonna do these flags. They cost us $15 to make. You know what I mean? We did Pride flags, it cost $15 to make, and we're gonna charge you $15. We're not gonna make any money. We just trying to help you guys have something to represent you guys. And looking back, I could have been like, yeah, we charging 20. We're gonna make 5 off of it. We're gonna donate 100% because we've done that like now, like
yeah.
during the riots and things like that. We donated 100% to like different bail reliefs, and that's the hindsight of it. But I just kept getting hate, like hate and hate, like,
Oh, like you're
oh, you
profiting
making
from it.
yeah, they're like, you making all this fucking money from the Pride, and you can't even donate nowhere. And I'm like, I'm not making any money. So the first response to I'm not making any money, I said it in the first post, like it's $15 to make. We charge you $15. If you take 15 for 15, there's no money. And then maybe like the third day, I'm having the worst fucking day ever. Like I think I was shooting something with
Pistons
all
lost.
digital, huh?
So the Pistons lost.
No, I was shooting some all depth digital. We shot like all day in like fucking 90 degrees, like weather, like sun beaming. You know what I mean? Like some July
Yeah.
weather. It's probably 100 degrees. Like I'm interviewing somebody who's like a athlete trainer. So he's walking me through the training that he does with athletes, and I'm fucking sweating on a football field. You know what I mean? Like I'm hot as fuck. I get in the car, and somebody was like, "Yeah, like my friend DM Demetrius Harmon about." Why like where he could donate and why he doesn't donate and things like that. And like his response was this. And it was like appearing like I blocked the person. And I'm like, you can't. Like you cannot block someone from DMing you. You only can block them and now they can DM you. But my DMs, because I was so like sociable and I wanted to be like reachable and approachable, were open to the public. It wasn't like only people I follow can DM me. Or like it wasn't like my DM requests are off now on Twitter. But I had turned them off. Whenever I was like dealing with too much, I just turned them off so I wasn't receiving a lot of DMs.
I recently opened my Twitter DMs. I've been hanging out in the crypto Twitter and stuff, and I thought I was going to get like like maybe because I've gotten like random like being on Twitter Spaces like little jobs and just little things to like helping people through with crypto stuff, and I just been getting spam, just bots, just
all,
nothing but
you know what I mean.
bots.
That's all it is now. Like people used to hit me like. Yo, like I'm going through this, like my mom, my dad, and I'll as long as I can respond, I'll respond. But so I told them because it was so much, and I was also trying to stay focused because I was like trying to get a job, like because they wanted me to be like an interviewer for like a 10-episode series, and that they was mad at me. They're like, "Yeah, we just don't think you're in it. Like we don't think you care." And like, no, I'm just naturally like they wanted skip meat. They didn't want like who I am when I'm talking. You know what I mean? Like. I was interviewing this guy and he like, yeah, like this kid I was training, like I was trying to save him and like make him care about this. And like, he like stopped coming to training and he like got shot. Like he went back to life and got shot. And he started crying. You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to fucking slap happy telling jokes. Like, you know what I mean? Like I want to connect with this human as well as tell the story of what they do. And so I got on Twitter. I was like, yeah, you can't fucking block people from DMing you. Like,
it's
what the fuck are you talking about?
Engage like there's certain like I respect certain people, they just don't like because there are people who just I'm not saying those people, but there are people who when I say those people, I mean the people in that specific situation. But like whoever was DMing you, but like or angry at you. But I feel like there's certain people like communities where like they just enjoy being angry. You know, like there's a certain power and thrill, and like if you just don't engage, they will move on to the next thing to be angry about. You know, they'll find the next sort of like. It's outrage in search of a target, and it's just like the more 100%. You engage, you get to be their target that day. And so sometimes it's like, yo, I'm just not gonna engage. Like there's no upside. Like no one's gonna.
There's
be
nothing
like, oh, okay.
good that's gonna come from
it's like,
engaging.
Wait, he had a did you read his response? Oh, like he had a very thought. Oh yeah, 15 minus 15. Oh, that is 0. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it never fixes the problem. And so I respond to that.
Yeah, the goal isn't to be to a solution. The goal is to be upset. But yeah.
I responded to that, and like I'm pissed. I'm in the back of the Uber. Like I'm just pissed. I'm fed up with everybody because this is going on the third day. You know what I mean?
I hope it wasn't an Uber pool because it was an Uber pool.
Fuck days. No, fuck no.
Hey, I Uber pooled it a couple times. Like I was because not like. It was just so cheap. Like
when I'm in that car, I need to be by myself. You know what I mean? I need to lay out. And so I think somebody else responded, and their pronouns are they them. I didn't misgender them, but I just said shut the hell up. That's all I said. I just said shut the fuck up. And I'm upset. Like I said, like you know what I mean? Like everything we've talked about, like me and you in this conversation. It lets you know like how normal I see myself as well as like where I come from. Like I'm talking to you, I'm like, I don't want to talk about
malice. Yeah, there's no malice.
Yeah. And I'm not like somebody I'll tweet it. I was like, after I said shut the fuck up to them, I said, y'all like I recognized that I sent 100,000 I sent 1 million people that follow me that support me and think this person it means harm to me to attack them. You know what I mean? Regardless they were malicious to me, they sent hate to me. All I did was take that hate, put mine on it, and throw it back at them, and it's just gonna keep getting bigger and bigger. So I deleted the tweets. And I was like we gotta remember that like behind all the social media shit, like it's real people. That
Yeah,
wasn't
you're a
just like
person.
them me saying that to them. That was like me saying that to me too. And I also said I was like also like behind all this social media shit, like I'm just a nigga from Detroit. Like that's all I
Joy
am to
Road
me.
and whatever Joy Road and something. That you were
I'm like
going on.
I don't do this like internet shenanigan shit. Like I'm not going back and forth with y'all. Like it wasn't like hey, I'm a nigga from Detroit. Like get you killed. Like you know what I mean. But like that's where it got taken. Was like oh like the narrative was like yeah he just threatened someone that's trans. And I'm like I never saw it though because I deleted my Twitter. That's literally when that's the day I deleted my Twitter and I bawled my eyes out like on the, I had a panic attack. Enzo come in my room having a panic attack. And I hit up Kalani at that time because they start going to therapy recently. And around that time, and they're like, yeah, like one
Very
black
casual,
female
casual.
therapist, yada yada. And I'm like, straight. So I hit them, and I'm like, can you send me the contact? And that's literally when I started going to therapy, like that next day. And I deleted Twitter probably for like the rest of the month. When I got back on Twitter, I didn't see none of that. You know what I mean? So I couldn't clear my name, but also because I went away, like whenever like somebody gets silent, people like, yeah, he did that shit. You know what I mean? And so like anytime there's been like shit about me now, it's always like the dumbest shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and so I never really take it never really fucked me up for real, especially because I'm surrounded by so many people that know my heart and care and like actually know me. Like these are fucking strangers with an anime avatar. You know what I mean? But it always be like, man, it be the most ridiculous shit. Like you said, you saw me courtside. I'm like, yeah, I know the people at the Pistons, so they just give me tickets. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
man, he blowing y'all shit. He going crazy with y'all money. And I'm like, the $7 I spent on these nachos, that's it. That's all I paid for.
Oh, yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I saw that tweet. I was like, it was funny. It was like a funny tweet. But I'm like, bro,
This
come on,
shit
bro.
be
Like,
funny because, like, bro,
he's,
somebody called me a black bastard.
that's not that. That's not
Because
very
people think I
funny.
got a
That's not very
sweatshop
funny.
now. Because I posted like
Oh,
the factory where everything get made at, and they're like, "Yeah, he got a sweatshop." I'm like, "Nigga, it's like a fucking lounge over here. We got fucking foosball and shit. Like a
yeah, it's tough.
sweatshop. Do you know what a sweatshop is?"
It's not like you in freaking China. Yeah, it's crazy. Oh, also speaking of, man, let me tell you how my first time when I was courtside because we had these Clippers courtside tickets through the Simpsons. I looked at it's the brokest courtside thing ever. I was making a lot of money too, but I don't know why I was being so cheap. I was looking at the menu. And I was like, man, this stuff looks good. And I was like, man, but I don't like these prices. And the person was like, oh no, it's all free. Like the prices are there, but it's actually like you get it free if you sit in this section. So I was like, oh,
Yeah,
I'm gonna get the
yeah.
nachos. I'm gonna get the burger. Like, I was like, I was like, man, this looks good, but man, these prices. It's not even the prices weren't even crazy. It's probably like $16 for like a burger, like 15 for some nachos. It was like more than what you would pay for it, but it was more
No,
than
it's
what you would
nuts.
want to
Still,
pay for it.
still nuts.
But it was just like I remember being like, I'm over here sitting in courtside over here looking like, man, I probably want to spend $16 on a burger. And the person, oh no, it's actually free. The price is just there. Those are for other people. I was like, oh, all right, well,
Man, and that's the thing. Like, don't
let
nobody
me
know
get.
that.
I was like, let me get. I'm gonna get. I was like, let me get a couple of them nachos. Let me get about 2 of them burgers.
Because at the
you
Pistons,
know,
we got a thing called like the Motor City Club, and like you walk downstairs, you walk through a thing, they check you, they give you an armband, and then you get through, and it's all this food, and it's just fucking free. And I'm like,
yeah,
oh,
at halftime with the Clippers, if you sit in those courtside seats, there's like a halftime like lounge express, and they got a nice spread. They got a nice spread. Yeah, they got a nice spread. So okay, so what do you like? What are you working on now? It's like all right, we went through the whole. What are you working on now? Like, what's the next like? I mean, it seems like your main focus, or not focus, like your main sort of business is you matter, right? And then it seems like you just do skits like when you and Angelo feel moved, basically.
yeah, like we're probably gonna make some skits because he's coming back home. Like I live in Detroit. Well, you know I live in Detroit. He's
He's
coming
in,
back
he's in
home from
LA.
LA. Look,
Okay.
yeah, he's still living in LA.
Will you go back, or
Um,
you're just like, nah, like I gotta be
yeah, I
with
go
the
all the
fam?
time, like
Okay.
all the fucking time. I was just there. I think the last time I was there was September. But I don't
Yeah,
fucking know, man.
that's one thing about
I'm
LA. LA is always gonna be there. Like I feel like there are times I feel like there are times I've always felt like I'm missing out. Like like I'm just like this is going on. That but LA is especially now with remote stuff. Like everything's remote.
yeah.
Like and LA shut down so hard in the pandemic. Like it's always gonna be there. So that's
That's when I decided to move.
yeah.
Like once I saw that I didn't necessarily need to be here. Like, if I was stuck in where I'm at, can I see my grandma? Can I see my mother? Can I see these people? I was like, oh, I can't. So I was like, all right, that determined my decision.
Yeah.
But as
So
far as working on anything, I don't know. Like, my idol, I never told you my idol when you talk about your idols. My idol is Donald Glover, and
he's
we
legendary.
were talking. Like, I was congratulating him on like Atlanta and just like telling him like what it mean to me and shit like that. And he was randomly was like, "Have you ever thought about writing?" And I'm like, "Yeah,
You know,
fucking would love to," but
Sasha.
I'm
No,
like, I just have
Malia.
no idea how. Like, you know what I mean? Like the the pipeline from social media to possibly actor, or social media to possibly like runway host, like red carpet host, is like it's a little bit more clear. But like, because I have no structure, like because I didn't go to college and things like that, I have no idea how none of that shit
Bro,
works. Like,
I'm
I
mad at
literally
you.
have.
I'm mad at you because I mean I'm not Donald Glover, but if you want to write, you could have asked me. You could have asked me.
I don't fucking know, and that's the thing too. Like, I don't like. I just like having relationships with people. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I mean, what's that like? Like, I don't like when I moved to LA. Like, I'm once I start putting these out, people are gonna be like, "Yo, you say this every episode." Like when I moved to LA, I was like so because like I lived in Nigeria until I was like 6. So like people like Pac, Puffy, Snoop, they're like idols. Like when you live in Africa, these are like, first of all, anything America is like, oh my goodness. And then the rappers, that's like next level. And then like being in Houston, like no shade to Slim Thug, like being in Houston, like the most coolest thing that might happen is like, oh, I saw Slim Thug at the Galleria. That's like our big mall. Like, oh, I saw Slim Thug at the Galleria. Like maybe you
I
saw
know
Steve.
everything about Houston because
Okay, all
my
right.
first 3 roommates were from Arlington, Texas.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it might be like, oh, I saw Steve Francis at the Galleria. Versus like LA, it's like, oh, like, and especially if you start working in entertainment, you start like working on Blackish. I'm seeing Tracy. I mean, that is different because you're working with them, but like I'm seeing Tracy Ellis Ross and Anthony Anderson, Lawrence Fishburne every day. Or not, I mean, Lawrence wasn't every day, but or like just like when I started, there's this dude. I don't know if you know him, Kwame. I might get him on the podcast. He's crazy. He just like was one of those dudes in LA who just knew everybody. Like he like Puffy, Bieber, Drake, Chris Brown, like just Travis, everybody. So like I was hanging out with him a lot, and I was like, so being around like these people who are like, it's like you walk into a room and like your entire Apple like playlist is there. You know what I mean? Like you walk into a room like your entire like, oh, like this is like, oh, we're going to Puffy's house. Like it's like, oh, this is Puff Daddy. Like this is the guy who like this is the guy who is like a hip hop. It's not as far as rapping and stuff, but like just in the end, like a legend, right? And it's like, yo, this is just normal, or even like Drake. Like Drake was the soundtrack to my college, right? So to me, like me and him, like sitting here talking, and me, I remember one time I was like, because I think like how you try to get somebody a frame of reference. You're like, oh, like I'm so and so's, I'm so and so, like just so they remember who you are. And he's like, bro, I was talking to Drake at like the Nice Guy or something, and I was like, oh, I was like, we were talking. I was like, oh, by the way, I'm so and so's like homie or so and so. He's like, bro, I know. He's like, I know. Like, I'm just like, that's like crazy to me. It's like, how is that? Like, like Kalani, K, is it K? Yeah, Kalani. I'm over here like, but her, Donald Glover. Like, I feel like you link with. I feel like I saw that you link with Big Sean, and like obviously like you being a staple from Detroit. Like you're saying, so many people make it out. I'm sure every Detroit artist probably like, if they don't know you, like they know of you. Like, what's that like? Like, what's like basically your idols, like where you can just hit your idols directly.
Like for me, it's nuts. You know what I mean? But like, I just care about people. You know what I mean? Like these are idols to me because they help me shape. Like Donald Glover has a song called "Glory" and the Last, and on like 2 of his mixtapes, and he says in one of the songs like, I want to call my dad crying, but I hang up because I don't want him to worry. He got his own shit. And like hearing that in like 8th grade, I'm like, what? And like in 8th grade, like because I used to want to be a chef, I used to want to be a doctor. Like I wanted to be practical jobs, and like seeing him be an actor, because I watched Community and seeing him be that, and like, okay, yeah, he's gonna be
I
for the
have
rest of
to
his
watch
life.
Community. I never watched Community. I have to
Community's
watch it.
fucking great.
I've heard it's
But
really
you don't
good. I
watch
have to watch it.
shows. But
Yeah, I know. I'm just very
And then
particular about the
seeing
ones I
him rap.
watch.
Cause like,
Well,
like MTV used to just randomly play music videos and like Heartbeat came on and it was like Childish Gambino. I'm like, no, that's fucking Donald Glover. I know who that is.
also
And I'm like,
seeing him
oh, he
rap,
doesn't have to be one thing for the rest of his life.
seeing
And
him rap,
like
but
that
also
opened up my mind.
and also seeing him be like not just rap, but like at first kind of like like a gimmicky rapper sort of, but then like he's like he's getting taken seriously as a real rapper. Like This Is
Yeah.
America, just his whole like he like where it's like he because people can like rap, but then it's like kind of like they're not really taken seriously at it. But he's actually being taken seriously as a rapper.
Like
Yeah,
every time he's hit a milestone, like when This Is America came out, I'm like, I've been telling y'all about him this whole fucking time.
bro,
And when Redbone came out, like I'm thinking about how he used to sound as a singer, like when I was in 8th grade. I'm like, bro, he's nuts. Like, you know what I mean? I'm his biggest fan. And the first time I met him, it's cause we got connected through like other people, like mutual people. And he like, yeah, like how's the hoodies doing? Like, how's the brand? Like, I really love that tan and red hoodie. And I'm like, I'm a really big fan. Like, it's written on
that's
my
lit.
whiteboard.
Dude, I have a random selfie with him because he came to Harvard. So these like Harvard has frats, but no one really joins them. So they have these things called final clubs. It's like secret society. It's whatever. It's like a frat, but at Harvard. And he came and like he had a show in Boston, and he ended up at Harvard somehow. Actually, he probably ended up there because low key because so many TV writers are from Harvard, like 30 Rock, like half of 30 Rock, half the SNL, Simpsons, maybe. And he like performed like some random Harvard final club. I won't say the name because it's like I'm trying to keep a G. It's on some top secret, it's not top secret Harvard, But no, but yeah. So I remember that. But yeah, no, it's dope that he can like that. That's one thing I love. Like you can kind of do everything nowadays.
Yeah,
And then
that's fucking nuts. Cause it used to be before like you don't want to be a jack of all trades. You know what I mean? Because you're a master of none. And I'm like, okay, cool. You know what I mean? But like I remember him like, yeah, I might not make music anymore for a while. Like I might not. This might be my last album. I just feel like things need endings. You know what I mean? I'm like, that's fair enough.
Well, I was gonna say, you should. I'm sure you could reach out to her. Malia Obama works with. I don't know if she still works for him, but like Malia. I know she at one point was working with him. I don't know if it was on Atlanta, but she was
Nigga,
working
did
with
you
him.
just tell me to reach out to Malia Obama?
Bro, Kaylani.
Are you fucking crazy,
bro? She probably watched your Vine, bro. First of all,
you're
I feel
nuts,
like, bro,
you're nuts.
it's not. It's not that hard. It's not that. First of all, you can just. I'm sure Donald Glover can hook y'all up, but like I feel like I remember last time I was in like. I feel like the Obamas being in LA is like a thing. Like people are like, yo, I was at some party. I saw them at some party, and like people know where they live. It's like funny. Like I feel like people are like, yo, like the Obama. Like it's like when the Olsen twins like take a city in like those old movies, like like Mary Kate and Ashley like in Paris. It's like Malia and Sasha are in LA because, but no, that's hilarious. But bro, you done a lot of you have 4 million Vine followers when you were 18. You could.
It's not fucking happening. I'm not fucking trying to. I'm not getting in contact with Malia.
We gonna watch. I'm gonna post this clip and she's gonna like DM you and be like, oh yeah, I love Meech. Also, the last topic as we wrap it up, I want to transition to this long term. It's like a dating podcast. I feel like dating is just such a great topic. It's evergreen. What's dating like? Like as a like you only. I remember I was talking to somebody about like an actor, and I asked him actually Jackson Pace. He was there the night.
I fucking love Jackson.
I love Jackson. He might be my only. Is he? No, I've interviewed another white person. But I love him. He's great. I love Homeland. But I asked him if there's ever that worry that like, oh, like this person I'm talking to only likes me. Like they don't like me for me. They like me because I am, this actor or whatever. He said, yeah, he only dates people in the industry, so like he wouldn't know. But like, what's your like dating experiences like?
I've only dated regular women.
Oh, so you're the opposite of Jackson,
huh?
Well, I see you're the opposite of Jackson, but if that's a concern, but like, wouldn't it be more of a like if they're regular, they might put you more on a pedestal, like as like, oh, like I'm dating this Vine Instagram.
Yeah, but I guess it was just like it's not a concern now. But I guess like as I was younger, it was just a thing of like I wasn't outside, you know what I mean? So I was just dating like people like mutual friends, like you know what I mean? Like I would get introduced to them at like kickbacks and shit like that. Like I never carry myself like, no, I need to be dating like an actor too. I need to be dating, you know what I mean? Like, cause I also want I really like the ability to like, okay, I mean this to the world. Like, let me take this cape off. Let me put these lashes on. I'm Clark Kent. Hey, you know what I mean? Like, and I could just have my normal life, and like I can
Bro,
still be normal.
oh my, bro, you know what you just reminded me of? So Quavo and back when Quavo and Saweetie were dating, there was this like profile of them, and Quavo was like, when I'm with her, I'm not Quavo. I give her Quavious. I remember I tweeted, I was like, fellas, you got to give her Quavious. But I mean, it is really like giving like being able to be your like full self with somebody like is a very rare thing where you feel like, oh, like they're not judging you, like they're not like you're just like y'all have your own thing that's just like separate from everything else.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like it I don't know. It always like that's always how I've been, but like now it definitely is like I like the feeling of like this is just us. Like when we're in each other's presence, like if it's just us two and we're not belonging to the world, you're not who you are to the world. You're your entirety, and I'm my entirety. Like I still gonna say my jokes. I'm still gonna be funny, and I'm still gonna be who the fuck I am to the world. But the world just sees maybe 2% of me. You get all of me.
Yeah, humor does mean yeah, humor means a lot to me too. As far as I joke, and I don't joke, but I'm like the two things I look for in somebody is like obviously like attraction, like that they're really pretty, but also like that they're funny. I guess the third thing would be that they're smart, but I really feel like it's hard to be funny and not smart. Like I feel like even like just like like even just watching like the like y'all skits, it's like I'm like this is smart. Like like somebody who wasn't smart couldn't have thought of like, yo, what was it like the first time somebody milked a cow? Like, imagine like Isaac and his son and like Jesus, but like as us, like just or even just like the God character. Like it's like I think humor is like super. I mean, maybe it's because I work like I'm a I work in comedy or I'm a TV writer, but like humor has always been like somebody getting my sense of humor and like me like them like us being able to make each other laugh has been such like a crucial thing to me in any relationship. Like
No,
even
most
friendships.
definitely.
Like even friends,
Most
I remember
definitely.
like
All my friends are fucking hilarious.
there. I
Like
remember like when I moved to LA, like I had all these sort of like really. It's gonna sound like I'm gassing myself up, but I just had all these like really like Kareem, like the we're not really strangers, like just like model like attractive friends. And part of it was because like if you're going out like to these places, like you can't show up to insert person's name here house with a whole bunch of dudes. Like in LA, it's just not gonna fly. Like, but like also like I think people would be like, oh, like would be like look at me like, oh, he has all these hot girls around him like because they're hot. But like, yo, they were all like, I mean, they are, and we're all just like like fun, like just dope people who are like really funny, like really like just funny and like refreshing people. Um, but yeah, man, this has been really good. I'm glad we got to talk. It's been a long time. Even like with Jackson, like Jackson and I hadn't talked basically since since that time. We kept in touch over just like dry Houston. He's a Rockets fan for some reason. But tell people, yeah, I don't know, he like grew up in Dallas. It's like, why are you a Rockets fan? But hey, we both bond. We bond over that super hard. We're both like gigantic James Harden fans. Like we both like just cape for James Harden super hard.
I was a
Tell people.
Rockets fan for a short amount of time when Tracy McGrady was there.
Oh yeah, he was cool.
Like Rafer Alston, Tracy McGrady, Mike James.
Yeah.
Uh,
You said
Shane
Mike
Battier.
James. Okay,
Yeah,
now
yeah.
you're
I knew the whole depth
yeah
chart. I knew the
Rayford.
whole
Yeah,
depth.
yeah. You all right, man? I'm because I thought you were capping for a little bit, but you threw a Mike James. I'm like, oh, okay, that's a real.
I didn't even say
Not
Yao Ming. That you got to give it to me for that. I didn't even
no,
think
but
of
yeah,
him.
yeah. You were like, yo, I'm like in the trenches with the Rockets. Like I'm talking about y'all seventh man. Like I'm talking about it. I was talking about the dude that comes off the bench and gives you about 18 minutes. He might get you like he might average 8.5 with like 3 rebounds and like 2 assists. Like you're like, yeah, I'm giving you y'all's Tony Snell. Like
Yeah, because Tracy McGrady was my favorite player. Like I had
yeah, he
T
was
Max and everything.
yeah, he was so cool. Well, tell people where they can find you, even though you have like a million billion followers. But
Everywhere. You just gotta type in Demetrius Harmon on Google and whatever
exactly.
you
Oh yeah,
trying to
you did
find.
rebrand. You did rebrand from me. That was like a reawakening for you. I felt like you were like, yo, I'm not. Like, this is like I'm grown now. It reminds me of like when I'll be watching First 48. When my dad would be watching it. I used to think 17-year-olds were so old. Like I'd be 14 and be like, the suspect is 17. I'm like, damn, like cause they're catching bodies. Like this 17-year-old. Like then you turn 16, you're like, wait. And you turn 17, you're like, wait, like these people were killing. like
Yeah,
at this
yeah.
age,
Most
like
definitely.
bro. That's Anyway, man, this has been good. We're gonna do some. I've been recording like so many, but we're gonna have to do a part 2 at one point. But yeah, man, I'm really glad we got to do this. I
Thank you.
appreciate
Thank
the
you for having me
time,
on.
man. This might be the
It's
first
good
episode,
catching up
low
with you
key.
too.
Yeah, no, I've been like trying to play around with I've been recording kind of a bunch and it's gonna release them like one by one. But this one, this might be the most elite one, man. But then I got to follow it
I
up.
feel like you say that to everybody.
No, I'm gonna send you all the files, but I don't say that to nobody. I'll be like, yo, like, well, this was really bad. Like, this you're just really dry person. Not sure why I invited you on here. No, I don't say that to everybody. But all right, man, I appreciate it, man.
All right,
Take
brother. I
care,
appreciate
man.
you. Thank you.
All right,
I don't know how
later.
to end
Happy
this. How I end the
holidays.
call? Oh yeah, happy.